Street Talk time. Welcome to Street Talk, ladies and gentlemen. How was this week's Corrie good? I think it was a good set of episodes. It's not standing out in my mind about how much it's at. There was a lot of Todd stuff this week, wasn't there? Did you find that this week's Corrie was generally so-so?
A lot of like revelations happened, didn't they? You know.
Yeah, mostly in the Todd
Danielle
story.
finding out, and then we also got the fact that isn't Christina scamming Daisy?
Oh,
we
yes.
didn't know that before.
That was good. I mean, I'm going to say this week's Corrie was pretty good, but I'm hoping to have my memory jogged further as we go through tonight's episode. Yeah, I've got some clickbait for you, of course. First, we got 2 listeners writing in this week with some clickbait storylines. Thank you very much to Jonathan and Joanne this week that have been sending some in.
Very nice of you.
And so the first one, Gemma, I think you might know this one. Plymouth Live. The headline is: Coronation Street star Jack P. Shepherd drops major revelation about William Roach.
I do know this one.
Yeah, we were talking about this the
Jack
other day, weren't we?
is on Celebrity Big Brother at the moment, and
Yes.
I think I sent you this clip of him revealing that even though he's worked with, in the same show as William Roach for 25 years now, William Roach still calls Jack P. Shepherd David.
That's so funny. I think I'd heard about that before this week. I think he's talked about that.
He has spoken about it before, but it's still obviously hilarious.
You can't really correct William Roach.
Well, not after 25 years, you can't.
Yeah, it's just a bit embarrassing at this point, isn't it? No, I would say if I knew William Roach, I would never tell him he got anything wrong.
No, never. But it's like, does he know? Does he know his name is Jack, and he's just having him on?
I'd love that. I'd love that idea if he is.
Or is he like, it's so weird that they hired a guy called David to play a character called David? Or does he think the character's name is Jack?
I don't, does he think he is Ken Barlow himself?
We're not
That's
sure.
The question.
We're not sure.
Next one. You got the first one right. Well done. Belfast Live. Coronation Street. Oh, by the way, I guess by the time, as we're recording this evening, we'll know whether Jack P. Shepherd has won Celebrity Big Brother, haven't we? He's in the final.
Yeah.
I've heard that he's maybe favourite to come second. Is that, can you use
really?
favourite? Yeah, I think not bad considering he was one of the first up for eviction in the first week, isn't it? So
it's all just been
done good.
Jojo and Chris. Jojo and Chris. Where's Jack?
I've seen lots of headlines about Jojo this week. I can't even remember who she is, to be honest, but go Team Jack. It's too late by the time this is published. Anyway, Belfast Live. Coronation Street. You're not going to get this. Return sealed for Icon 36 years after debut to take down Mick. Okay?
Right.
So, someone's coming back, according to the Belfast Live.
Yep.
36 years after their debut to take down Mick, who's a bit of a wrong-un.
Is this a spoiler?
No, of course not.
Coronation Street return sealed, it says. So it's obviously all
sealed
done
is in
and
inverted
dusted.
commas, Gemma, so it means nothing. I'll do the maths for you if you like, because I know it's not your favourite subject. 36 years ago was 1989, so we're looking for someone who first appeared in Coronation Street in 1989.
Is it Jim McDonald?
No, but well done for knowing that the McDonald's came into the show in 1989. It's almost like you're a big Corrie fan and podcaster. How did you know that? It's not Jim McDonald.
I guess.
It's not.
Andy McDonald.
No. Andy McDonald's not coming back.
Liz McDonald.
It is Liz McDonald, yeah. You got it in 3, that's good. Why on earth? This was another one based on a Facebook a Facebook post, and somebody said, I think Liz should come back and take... I just don't get it.
Why Mick?
I didn't look into it very further.
Mick?
I think somebody's just hankering for a bit of Liz McDonald action on the street, but this is not happening. Last one, Plymouth Herald. Coronation Street legend says one co-star is incredible. As she asks, is this real? Who's the legend that's talking here? And which incredible co-star are they referring to?
So Coronation Street legend,
yes.
then. So somebody's being interviewed who's a legend.
Yes. But don't forget, if you're a clickbait headline writer, anyone is a legend if they've been on the street. So don't read too much into this. I'm not saying that they're not a legend, but
Barbara Knox is a legend.
Barbara Knox is look. I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you this one. The legend. Barbara Knox is the person that the legend is talking about. So
are we trying to say this legend is more legendary than Barbara Knox?
I don't.
But it's a girl. It's a woman.
Yes, it is a woman.
And Sally Ann Matthews hasn't been interviewed, so it's not her because she is a Coronation Street legend.
She is, but as Sally Ann Matthews is quite close.
Sally Carmen.
No.
Sally
the other one.
Deviner.
Yes, it's Sally Diniver. Well done.
So she doesn't believe Barbara Knox is real.
Apparently,
Barbara
the story goes that she says, "Oh, whenever I see Barbara Knox on the telly, I think, oh, isn't it incredible how good she is?" And that's the story. Where she's saying, "Is this real?" It's talking about, "Is this real that I'm acting?" It's not talking about her hair or anything.
It's not real, Sally. It's all acting.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go. Those are our clickbaits. Thank you very much to Jonathan and Joanne who sent those in. We're opening it up to anyone who wants to send us some clickbaity story headlines because I love them so much. Right. You keep checking on your phone. What are you looking for?
I don't know.
Are the Big Brother results
Trying to
coming out or
escape.
something?
I've got to do my Duolingo. Can we get on with this?
I don't think we're going to be finished by midnight. We'll have a little pause later. You can. Are you still doing your French?
Of course I am.
I didn't know whether you were doing the German.
Oui,
bien sûr. Right. This week on Coronation Street, we've got 7 storylines. I've missed one here in my notes. We are starting off with the silver-tongued fox story, which was my favourite one of the week. There was an awful lot of silver tonguing going on in this week's episodes, and they got caught at it. Fishing for carp, isn't that? And you like that storyline?
I don't get it. What do you mean?
Brian is going after Julie. He's trying to reel her in. Yeah, maybe. How many words can you think of that can rhyme with carp? If you were writing a poem about
Blarp. Blarp.
I think they've got to be real
Blarp.
words if they're in a poem. Number 3.
Blarp. The aliens have come. Blarp.
I'd forgotten that we even had this storyline title, the Jenny Connors.
That's a good one.
I do like this one. Jenny is being conned, but so is Daisy now, isn't she?
I know. I didn't realise. And
I liked that twist on Wednesday. Christina is just the best, isn't
magnificent.
she? I want her to stay in the show, but I don't think she can. Every time, she's only ever comes in every now and then to wreak havoc for Daisy, and obviously she's being portrayed as this massive wrong-un this week, who's here to take money from our beloved Jenny. If there's any way that Coronation Street could find a possibility of keeping this glorious character in the show, please do, because she's just magnificent, isn't she?
I love her so much.
She's so charming. I just want to watch every scene that she's in.
I know, she's magnetic. Every time
magnetic
she
is right.
appears, I'm like, oh, yes.
She's brilliant. She's like proper classic Corrie buxom matriarch, and I think every time that she's been in the show, I've liked her more, because this is her third, fourth stint that she's been in it.
Yeah.
And I think I thought she was okay the first time round, but I think every time that she's returned, she's just got under my skin more in a best of ways. Next up, Gemma, the Joyless Joyriders. This is talking about flipping Lauren and Betsy, who had a little bit of a spin in Tracy's flowermobile today.
I'll tell you what, Betsy has seen what being a miserable cow has done for Lauren. And she's having a pop, isn't she? Because Lauren dominated our screens last year just by crying and being miserable. And Betsy was the sort of happy-go-lucky teen, kind of a bit of a scamp when she first came in. But now she's turned into a misery guts as well.
I mean, she has been shot, as she keeps reminding us.
Oh, did she get shot? I didn't know.
I loved how she was talking about that to Ardy in the shop today, and Ardy jumped in front of a bullet and he didn't mention it.
I would bring that up all
I'd
the time.
Said, oh, you just been shot in your arm? I can't remember where Ardy was shot, but yeah, at least, he bravely and heroically got shot.
Oh, you got shot by accident, did you?
Not by somehow getting past the police cordon.
I did it on purpose. That makes me cooler than you. Shut up.
Yeah, so I wasn't...
I got shot in front of the big wall.
Volume wall, yeah. Yeah, saving
gives
another...
Michael a headache, that does. That volume wall.
Yeah, maybe the volume wall's going to give me a headache like my new TV. I didn't really go much on this storyline, but we will cover it forth. Then we have got a little bit more of the Dylan and the villain story. That was quite good on Monday, wasn't it? When he punched Brody out, and gave him a bit of a kick in.
Punch him.
Are you going to stay awake for this whole episode?
It's possible not.
We had a little bit of Tenacious Dee, and of course we will round things off with the return of the Deb Mencher storyline today. And Carl was back again, sleazebag. Don't like him.
I loved the way that Coronation Street decided to go, oh yeah, Carl's got different accents.
Oh yeah, he had his telephone voice, didn't he?
No, one of them's posh.
Yeah, they could have used that as an opportunity, couldn't they? I think that he could have made himself useful to the hotel by Debbie going, oh my gosh, there's somebody coming up ringing in German. Don't know what they're saying. Although we all know that German tourists speak impeccable English.
Yeah, they wouldn't ever need
the likelihood that they would require a German-speaking
I think it would have been
quite unlikely.
So cool if they had got the actor to just say a very convincing "Auf Wiedersehen" and put the phone down, and then we would have all believed that he could actually speak German.
Yeah, that's all we need.
Because we know Chariot Square Hotel is a hotbed for Germans.
it's got international clientele coming out of the wazoo, that place, doesn't it?
It's got an excellent chop. An excellent chop.
What does that mean?
Well, that's what Christina said that she was going to have for lunch.
Oh, yes. I thought I don't know what I thought. Right, let's get cracking with this because we've got lots to talk about today. Can I take the Todd story? Yeah. I quite enjoyed it this week.
But you got to know that I'm going to interject here.
Gemma has got thoughts on this. There are bits that you agree with, disagree with, feel very strongly and vehemently against certain characters and their actions and their lack of morals.
I agree.
That was the best bit of this week. The drive-by slagging from Danielle.
Yeah.
It was
Line
superb.
of the week. Slag.
It's so easy, just one word.
It's such a nice word to say as well. Slag.
I mean, we can't help
you can sing it,
but
slag.
Every time you just want to say it in an EastEnders accent, don't you?
Well, I mean, it's my natural.
It was such a soapy thing to happen. Such a soapy thing to happen, but I feel like it doesn't happen very much in Coronation Street. People just being yelled slag at through the car window.
We get to shout slag, and that goes for men and women because I don't agree with misogynistic slurs. So instead of getting rid of them, I say open to all.
I thought you were going to say I don't agree with misogynistic slags.
I don't agree with misogynistic slags. Slagging it up. So Theo and Todd are also slags.
They are a little bit,
and they don't get shouted at through the window. And I think that Danielle should open her. Stop being so blinkered.
I mean, it's not like Coronation Street doesn't have a load of other slags on there. I mean, I Maria for what? I'm surprised that she when Danielle shouted out the window, Maria didn't poke her head round the corner and said, "You called?"
Was that to me? No, it was me again. Sarah, you slag.
Who's the biggest slag on Coronation Street? Is it Sarah or is it Maria?
And
to be fair to her, Maria has been, what about Rita?
Rita pokes her head out the door and goes, "Oh, they used to call me a slag when I was younger." I was the weather-filled slag. I mean, Nightingale.
She was in a common law marriage, was Rita?
She was
wasn't
a lounge
she in the
singer.
early days? I know. To be fair to Maria, love her to bits, and she has been, keeping.
She's been off the slag wagon.
She has been off the slag wagon, the slaggin'.
The slaggin'.
She's been off the slaggin' for a while. Obviously, Gary's doing something right. Maybe that's why we've not seen him for months. He's just exhausted in bed. After showing Maria why he's the one
top dog.
The top, maybe. No, I know.
We're getting a bit far straying from the line.
What are we talking about again?
We're talking about.
I have heard that Gary will be returning to our screen soon, Gemma. So I'm going to dust off my Gary outfit to watch.
Oh yes, you can wear an outfit
in tribute to him. Right. Anyway, so last week on the Todd storyline, or the at the end of it was Danielle doing another drive-by, but she did a drive-by looking, didn't she?
Yes.
And noticed that Sarah Louise, who was apparently going out with Todd, was getting a little bit friendly with an unusually tall man, as she puts it when she talked to George. Which is, again, does Jacob Robert mind that his height is basically the only thing that he's got going for him? No, that's not fair to say. It's the thing that people refer to the most.
Yeah, it's
what distinguishes him from everybody else in the street who is actor-sized.
Yeah.
Yeah, an unusually tall man.
Hollywood-sized. I realised why I like Kit and who he reminds me of now.
Who?
He reminds me of Legend from the Gladiators, and that's why I like both of them. They're both cheeky, mouthy, little cocky.
He was at points this week.
I loved him this week. He was such a git.
We're going all over chronologically in this, but the scene where David is disgusted by finding his sister there with Kit, and Kit didn't care one jot about what David was saying. That was a little bit Legendish. I don't know. I enjoy Legend than Kit, but I will say that I'm not the world's biggest Kit fan, but I did find him more hilarious this week as being a bit of an agent of chaos.
Yeah, he's naughty.
So Todd sees Theo in the street at the beginning of Monday's episode and says, I can't ever remember where they're up to in their relationship, but he says, look, can we go and have a coffee? Can we be friends? So they've been running hot and cold for the last week or two now, hasn't they? And Todd just can't give him up.
No, Todd's a big puppy, and Theo's the one that's calling it off all the time because he's scared of being found out, and he's still scared about going out for a coffee.
Well, yeah, he
even though they're friends.
He doesn't want to be caught in the vicinity of Todd just in case he suddenly...
Is it gay to go out for a coffee with your friend? Apparently so.
Apparently, if it's a frothy coffee.
Ooh,
maybe.
Be careful.
Yeah. So they get talking there, and Todd is just getting really frustrated by the fact that Theo is on edge. He can't even sit there and enjoy a nice platonic coffee with him. Sarah comes and sits with Todd later and says, look, maybe you should give things up with Theo now, otherwise you're going to get your heart proper broken. Clearly she's given up on the idea of opening the next love hotel in Weatherfield.
She's fed up with hosting.
Yeah,
She's like, can you just sit and pack it in now? Because the washing machine's bust.
Yeah, my electricity bill has skyrocketed since you got there. The number of times that washing machine.
Smart meter, and it's just going round and round.
Yeah, she's had a change of tune, hasn't she? Meanwhile, you got this is one of the things that you got bizarrely irate about on Monday, wasn't it?
Excuse me, bizarrely irate. I was excited by the possibility of drama, is what happened.
But there was no George accidentally polishing the head off the Virgin Mary
on Easter Monday, on the day the Pope died.
Oh yeah, he did.
In a funeral parlour.
That was.
And I was watching this. I was completely shocked. I was scandalised. I rewound it. I recorded it on my phone. And then I was waiting. I was looking for the headlines of like the outraged Catholics complaining.
That would have been brilliant clickbait, wouldn't it?
Sacrilegious.
Corrie fans, what would it be?
Corrie fans outraged as
headless character.
No, as a religious icon desecrated as the Pope lies dead in the Vatican.
I think it should be Corrie fans shocked by beloved Coronation Street legend decapitating. Coronation Street legend in decapitation drama.
Yeah.
One or the other, but it just wasn't picked up, was it? But you're right. I mean, Corrie doesn't make changes. They could have done, because it felt very unnecessary.
If I had been involved in Coronation Street at all in any capacity, I would have sat bolt upright on Sunday night. Did he die on the Sunday?
No, Monday morning.
As soon as I found out, I would have immediately started having a panic attack about the fact. I still can't believe they did it on Easter Monday though. I think it is kind of hilarious, but also I can't believe no one complained. I can't believe nobody picked, because people, I think, don't complain about things they're genuinely upset about a lot of the time. I think they complain because they realise they can make a fuss about something. And I'm surprised nobody wanted to make a fuss about this, because it was kind of boring on Easter Monday, wasn't it?
I will say that they would never have done that with any other religious iconography on a holy day of a different religion, would they? You know, if it was Eid or Passover or what have you.
I mean, they've got it covered, haven't they? There's no religious figures allowed in Islam, so that's why they've done it. They're smart.
Oh yeah,
they're like, we're not going to have our Virgin Mary get decapitated on Easter Monday. You must be joking me.
Yeah, I would have got it if it maybe served a purpose to the plot, but it was just an opening of a scene.
He complains that Todd is responsible, but maybe it was all the sin he thought, that the Virgin Mary's head just spontaneously came off.
Maybe it should. What was it was it
all the cheating?
Is it Breaking Bad where they had all the drugs inside the Virgin? No, it was Lost, wasn't it? Lost had a load of Virgin Mary statues.
Maybe
and drugs
Todd was
inside.
Looking for something.
Maybe. Anyway, he's busy. He's busy polishing the head off our dear Virgin Mary. When in comes Danielle, who says, "Look, I need to tell you something. Your employee Todd, who's dating the lovely and not at all slaggy Sarah. In fact, no, she is. She's a massive slag. I saw her dating. No, what was she doing? Sarah just can't keep her hands off anyone, can she?
She was kissing
an unusually tall man." And I need to tell you about it.
So you need to tell Todd, because she's cheating on him.
Yeah, and George hasn't been made aware of the deception here, and he is stifling a grin, saying, "Look, I think we've got a few crossed wires here. Sarah and Todd are not going out. Todd's gay." and Danielle tries to remain composed about this revelation, because it's not just Todd who's been lying to her. Theo has been, hasn't he?
Theo and Sarah. And it's like, why? What?
They're concocting something.
I've been made a mug.
Yeah, why would they be doing this? And so she kind of hurries out.
I'd be furious.
Huffs off to try and find the truth here.
So much.
Yeah, I know you do. Gemma does not like liars.
I hate liars.
So Sarah, we got her. She goes to see Theo at work. Theo's working on the on Underworld now, isn't he? It's quite handy.
I never even thought about that, but you're right. Yeah, that's why.
That's why he's been hanging around. That's why he's been loitering.
Well, they said that Tuesday, which is Wednesday, that the factory lot had the day off because the scaffolding or there was building work going on, and it was obviously because Theo's been too busy shagging about to do any work.
I don't know what Underworld needed doing. Maybe this is why Gary's not been in it for so much longer. He's been up to his tricks on the factory roof again, hoping to
compulsively undoing nuts.
Yeah. Every 5 years or so, he drops a roof on somebody just to liven up the place. I don't know. But
he's been watching too much Wizard of Oz.
Do you think? Is that his favourite?
Film. Well, we know he likes dancing around in spandex.
Was there a lot of that in the Wizard of Oz?
Well, I mean, it all adds up, doesn't it?
Anyway, so yeah, George... I've lost all my train of thought now. Oh yeah, this is he goes to see Theo, and she sits him down and says, look, you got to stop messing Todd around here, mister. You say that your family means everything to you and you can't destroy it, and that you love Danielle, but how do you love Danielle? As the mother of your children, as a friend, as a lover? Which one is it?
And she's rubbing his arm the whole time she's doing this.
Yeah.
Like...
He maybe she can't help herself.
Draping herself all over him.
I unlike Theo, I'm not that persuasion, but he has got, I would say, quite strokeable arms if you're a lady.
Leave him alone. I just so disrespectful.
I think that, Sarah is probably showing quite restraint, considering what she's usually like around a hunky man. The fact that she was only stroking his arms and not dragging him off to bed just to try and...
You don't get points for that, you slag.
But yeah, you didn't like the fact that she was being a bit handsy there.
No.
Some people don't mind that kind of thing, do you?
I do.
I mean,
I think yeah, but it's not down to whether the person. There's more than just the two people sitting there involved in this. If you're starting to rub somebody or stroke them or hug them or caress them, if they're in a relationship, there's three people involved in this. And also, if you've got a partner, maybe they don't want to see you draping yourself over somebody else. I don't care if he was gay.
I think
if make
any of Sarah Louise's partners, if you're going into a relationship with her, you got to expect that there's going to be a little bit of flirty stroking going on somewhere, because she just can't help herself.
The same thing happened with Carla when she met that factory guy who was also gay. And Lisa saw them flirting and stuff, and then she went and had a go at the guy, and she got made out to be like a hysterical idiot because she dared to think that there was something more to it. And so Danielle's the same thing, like, oh, you stupid woman. Of course Sarah doesn't... You're allowed to rub a gay man.
It's Corrie teaching us that, you're allowed
women shouldn't get upset when their partner's stroking men who are gay. I don't... Like, have a bit of respect for your partner and don't be rubbing on people.
You've been using the word rubbing and all.
That's what she was doing.
Was she thinking a genie was going to pop out?
Maybe she was trying to oil him up. She can come and oil our deck up if she wants to rub something.
Yeah, you're right.
Do you know what I mean?
Lisa was seen as the bad guy away when that happened, when she was the perfectly reasonable reaction.
It's totally fine to not want your partner to stroke, caress, rub somebody if they're in a relationship with you. And I don't understand why Corrie has made both these women out to be, in the wrong or jumping to conclusions. Because Lisa, Carla was like, oh, no, it's okay. He's just my friend and he's gay. It's like, it makes no difference. I don't understand this. It makes no difference what your sexuality is. Don't rub people.
Do you think that Danielle is being portrayed by Coronation Street as a bit of a villain?
I think they're going to stitch her up.
They're going to have to do a better job, because at the moment, she's reacting in a perfectly understandable and relatable way, considering the massive bombshell that's just been dropped onto her life here. In fact, when she finds out on Wednesday, I would almost go so far to say that she underreacted. I know that she was screaming at him and beating him.
She did hit him.
But I think that she could have pushed it a little bit further, to be honest. But yeah, I'm totally team Danielle here. I mean, it's not only is she in the right, but she also had some really funny scenes.
Yeah, she's great. Take it too far, girl. I want to see the chaos.
I need to see her raise the bar even further next week, just for my personal entertainment.
Now, I don't know if Coronation Street is going to weave some homophobia into her upset about this or what, but the cheating's bad enough for a start. But I don't think is it homophobic to get upset.
No.
If you're it's the lying, isn't it? It's the fact that your husband pretended to be something he's not. And
it's
also,
the fact that
you're starting to wonder, like, was I ever even your type? Like, did you ever even fancy me? Is this all been just a lie?
At this point, that doesn't come out. Maybe should we park that discussion until she makes the discovery on Wednesday?
Saying, like, I don't know. Is that going to be twisted back on her and like, oh, I can't believe you're not being, what's the word? You're not being accepting. Like, you don't have to be accepting of your husband having an affair.
No.
So, but I still think she's going to be next week, I think, or whenever the story resumes, I think she's going to go absolutely insane, lose her marbles and take some kind of really awful revenge, and she's going to be made out to be an evil bigot who needs to mind her own business.
Because she at the moment, it feels like we're supposed to be Team Todd and Theo.
Yeah, but I don't
Even though, Sarah's and the others aren't necessarily wrong when they say to Todd, you need to back off, this clearly isn't going to work, this guy's bad news.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's unfair to say you shouldn't break up a family that's got children in it. I mean, first of all, a marriage in the first place, you shouldn't really be breaking up a marriage.
No.
And I know that it's a bit more complicated because Theo is obviously finding out stuff about himself, but I don't know what he was trying to find out. I think he already knew when he signed up to Gay Bay. I don't think that you're confused about why you're signing up to Gay Bay. There probably is something that kind of indicates during the process what it is that this website is about. Can you imagine it? Just like, I had no idea. I thought they were just some nice men and I clicked on it because I'm discovering myself.
I thought they had lovely arms like me. I thought this was the association for men with big biceps.
I thought they were going to teach me some new ways, like some new curls.
Some new pumping iron techniques. Yeah, nice try with that, Theo. No,
he's not innocent. I don't buy this idea that he has never done this before. I think it's going to turn out that he's a player.
That would be a really interesting twist if one of Theo's exes turns up and he's a man as well. And
people are giving him a big break.
Would that make
lots of people are giving him a break here because they're always confused. He doesn't understand. He's trying to discover himself. But he joined Gay Bay. It's not like he met Todd and he realised something or he kind of found an opportunity to explore something he'd thought about before. He's been on Gay Bay, and do you not think it would be a massive coincidence if the first guy he sees on that website turns out to be the love of his life? I don't think so.
That's
Come on. I think he's playing Todd.
Yeah, well, he didn't join up maybe Gay Bay, did he?
No, maybe Gay Bay.
Or maybe bi. This is the thing, they've not made it clear. It must be that he's bi.
Don't get involved. Don't start because we don't understand this.
What do you mean?
We don't understand this. This is a whole world of a sexual spectrum of people who have different ideas about what the labels are or no labels or anything, and I'm not getting involved in it anymore.
He's definitely...
I can't. I know whatever you say you are is fine with me. We come from a world of gay, straight, bisexual, and if you're not straight and you're not gay, you must be bisexual, but nobody wants to be bisexual. I don't understand. And I'm okay with the fact I don't understand, but I will listen. And I think it's okay. I think some people are scared of not understanding things, but as long as you listen when people tell you something, I think it's okay to not completely get it. We can't get everything. we can't experience everything that we, or understand everything we haven't experienced, can we?
No.
It's beyond me, because I can't pretend to know what it's like to be a guy who's married with children who questions his sexuality.
Yeah, I would be interested to know whether, this is something that he feels like he's always been denying, or was he 100% into Danielle and something
It's going to be another one of
in
these.
him, a bit like, it's like Carla, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not going to label myself. It's like, okay, then, okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but it's okay. And I don't need to understand. But the thing is about it is one of these things where it's like, it's none of my business. But Coronation Street keeps trying to make it my business. And I'm trying my best.
Sarah asking him, how do you love her? Because that is the question for me. Like, does he still somehow love Danielle? And in a way, you could say, if he's cheating on her, then he can't do. But then some people say, no, you can love two people at once, especially if you got a man love and a girl love. I don't know.
I genuinely think you can love somebody and cheat on them, because you can love somebody and do all kinds of terrible things to them. What do you think?
What do you do? I thought you were going to say, what do you do to me? What terrible things have I do to do?
Make you watch your TV and gives you a headache.
Yeah.
I don't make you do that.
No, I know. So
I take the bins out.
I do think he still does love Danielle, but he's just been scratching this itch that he's had now, and it's opened his eyes, and he's realised he quite likes something else now. And the fact that, again, we're skipping all over the place here.
Yeah.
The fact that he does try and go back to Danielle, is that just because he just, again, doesn't want to accept that, that he's got these feelings for Todd, or is it genuinely because he 100% loves her? He's got a family with her. He's throwing away an awful lot potentially by going out with Todd
for a guy he's known a month.
Yeah,
who he doesn't know anything about.
That's it.
I don't think he knows the first thing about Todd. Todd has got such a backstory.
He probably doesn't even know that he used to be Bruno Langley.
No, imagine his surprise.
Yeah, who's that picture in number 11?
But I don't think Coronation Street meant to do this. But this week was very much an exploration of romantic love and the different kinds of ways that it manifests, and what is an acceptable level, because you have Julie pushing Todd into this hot and steamy romance with Leo, because
Theo.
I keep saying his name.
You can't really go out
dead.
with Theo.
I don't agree with necrophilia, especially if you're working at an undertaker.
He's a bit green.
It's a bit gross.
Yes.
And then also you've got her trying to tell Eileen that the love that she has with George isn't enough, because it's not a new and electric romance like she's got with Brian. And I genuinely think it would be a mistake, but I do think that it's heading for Eileen and George to split up, because they haven't got that electric new romance like the other two have.
But then, Eileen and Pat for.
But then you also have, Sarah saying, how do you love Danielle? And is it not enough to love somebody because you're in a family with them? I think this week was a bit of crapping all over long-term relationships, really, and the fact that maybe sometimes you are just comfortable and happy, and that's enough, because you could be. I mean, the options are that or alone a lot of the time, and it's not like it's a bad thing. I don't understand. Like, you can't be in the electric part of love, that like very hormonal kind of sexy bit for a long period of time. Are
you building up to telling me that your heart doesn't
sing? Why do you have to bring it in?
When you look
Why do you
at
have to bring that into it? It's so stupid. I just think it's really immature to expect your whole life is going to be rubbing someone's arms outside of a factory.
Yeah, to get your thrills.
I didn't really like the message that Coronation Street was sending, and I think a lot of it is down to Julie, and I think that Julie is just a bit of an idealistic.
I'll forgive Julie for anything. Thank you. She's only
because
got 2
she's
months
coming
left.
in like this terminal illness has also turned into like a terrorist Cupid who's just going around ruining everybody's love lives by forcing them into terrible decisions.
She doesn't mind. She just wants to make sure that everyone's happy by the time.
But she can. But she's. But how? By pushing Todd into a relationship with a man who, at the very least, is just a cheater.
But she's very idealistic, and she thinks she just
telling George and Eileen that they're not suited to each other because they're not desperately hanging off each other like she and Brian are. Maybe she should split up with Brian because she's only going out with him because she's going to die.
Anyway, let's get back to where we were, because Sarah's been rubbing Theo's arm for so long. By this point, she's probably to the bone at the moment. Danielle just so happens to be walking around the corner of the cabin in time to see this, and she's like, "Oh my gosh,
what a
slag!" What a slag that Sarah Louise. Not only is she seeing Todd, apparently, not only is she chatting up unusually tall men outside of the speed dial, but now she's got her arm around my husband. What's going on here? So she marches into the rover, because she doesn't confront them straight away, does she? She'd rather do it in public later, going along to the pub,
maximum excitement,
marching up to her and accusing her of sleeping with her husband to Sarah. And Sarah's like, honestly, that's not true. Eileen jumping in with, she said, like, a likely story. Cheating's a compulsion to her. She's got her number. She's not wrong. Well, that was great. And Danielle turns to Todd and says, look, not only that, but I know you're gay. So Sarah says, on my kid's life, I am not seeing Theo, but maybe you should go and speak to your husband. Just saying. So Danielle storms off. Oh, this is the bit with Daisy giving her look, wasn't it?
She did a great look, didn't she?
She did. There were, like I said, I was kind of so on this week's Coronation Street, but there were some moments that I really, really did enjoy. And I don't know whether this could very well have been an improvised moment from Charlotte Jordan. I suppose it wouldn't have been. There was no need for her to be there, but I'd like to know what was written in the script there, because whatever was there, Charlotte Jordan gave the most brilliant expression, because she's sitting there in the booth, isn't she, watching them having this having it out with each other, and as she gets up, by the medium of podcast, I can't really describe it, but she just gives her like a bit of a sort of like, doesn't she? It's the best.
How do they do that in The Archers? Because there are loads of things that you have to be able to do in a
very good point
in a soap that you can't do on The Archers, like being sad over somebody's shoulder, giving a sort of funny look.
Oh, when you're giving a hug. Yeah. How do they do the sad hugs on The Archers?
How do they do somebody just happens to be listening to this conversation?
Yeah, and how do they do the silent actors in the background?
Yeah, how do they do the extras?
How's Dirk on The Archers?
Dirk's been in every episode of The Archers.
Of course he has. That's his second job, isn't it? So, anyway, Theo... what were we up to? A bit later, Theo has had everything explained to him. He's been caught up with the latest drama. What on earth can he do? And Todd says, look, maybe this is the time for you to rip the plaster off and tell Danielle all about him. And Theo, about yourself. And Theo says, no, I'm just not ready for this yet. Do you think Todd is being a bit too pushy?
He's just, he's selfish. And I don't think he is really thinking it through, because Theo's going to lose everything. And they've only known each other for a month. I'm sorry, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. I'm not even going to pretend this makes any sense.
I don't care. I'm loving the juiciness of it.
He's got there's no good judgment going on here at all. I'm trying to be understanding and stuff, but this is just bad news all the way around. This is definitely a bad news Todd situation.
It makes sense that Todd wants him for himself.
Yeah.
And saying, look, I'm too old for this.
Why would you want a cheater? That's what I never understand. What is attractive about somebody who's a cheater? I find it just put me off.
No, you're right. And some people say, well, I don't mind. I think lots of people will say, oh, they wouldn't cheat on me though, would they?
No,
and in some cases, probably a lot of cases,
and there are lots
they
of
don't.
Scumbags who think, well, I'm not cheating. It's not me. It's not me that's having the relationship, so it's nothing to do with me. And I think that's real scumbag behaviour. Yeah,
I just think that, like Eileen and Sarah now are telling Todd, you need to be very careful here. But this is the first time that Todd's been in a proper relationship for a while, so I get how he's kind of excited by it all as well.
If you truly, really, honestly believe that this person is so important and wonderful and lovely, you would wait.
I think so.
I think a lot of the time
he has said that.
People cheat because they know that there's a chance this won't work out, and they don't want to lose what they've already got.
He has said a couple of times, right, you're worth waiting for, but then he kind of goes back on it very quickly afterwards. As soon as there's like the slightest sniff of the end for the Silvertons. He's like, right, okay, Theo, you might as well just come out and tell the world, get on the float at Gay
I don't
Pride.
like Theo, he's boring.
What?
Theo is so boring. He's such a boring person. He's got no personality. He just has arms.
Yeah, but what arms, Gemma?
I think he's so
don't
handsome.
Mind Theo.
He's so handsome and buff that he's never had
What about his chiselled jaw?
He's never had to develop a personality. He wouldn't know what to even have a conversation about because he's like, oh, what do you mean you want to speak? Don't you want to rub my arms? That's what people usually do.
I think I definitely like him more than Carl. Because we were introduced to the trio of Corrie Totty a few weeks ago, weren't we?
And I can't
Carl
believe it. That 2/3 of them were gay.
And James,
What's it coming to?
Sorry, girls. But no, I don't mind Theo, but I don't like him that he's a cheater. But I think that if he were to stay on the show, he's the sort that I'd probably get over it eventually and go, oh, okay, let's give you a go.
You can't hold it against anyone on Coronation Street if they cheat because they all do it
Literally
all the time,
everybody
and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, really, Danielle should have just been doing a slow drive down the cobbles at the end of Monday's episode. Slag, dog. Yeah, just one long slag down the road.
And everyone opens their windows and goes, what? How did you know?
Right, okay. So, Todd's worried that this is it for him and Theo at the end of this because Theo's saying, I'm not ready to come out yet. So he goes back to number 11 later, does Theo, and he tells Todd that Danielle has agreed to speak to him later. He's going to tell her she's got the wrong end of the stick with him and Sarah, but he's still not going to tell her the truth. And Todd says, look, if you do come out one day, I will be there for you. So I told you he was flip-flopping. And they have another kiss again. Like every time Todd's feeling a bit randy, he's like, oh, go on then. I'll wait a little bit longer.
What is wrong with you? Get back on
Embrace
Gay Bay. Do you think Gay Bay is just something that Theo made and there's only him on there? Otherwise, there's no excuses there. There's loads of gay guys. Go and find one.
Maybe Todd's cancelled his subscription and it's a real bugger to try and set back up again.
Just do it. Just like, you can probably get a free week if you sign up with a different email address.
Anyway, the drive-by slag calling comes up in the next scene, which is just Sarah walking down the street with little Harry, who was very nice to see again. What's going on with Harry? Why is new Harry not appearing more often than this?
Counselling now.
Yeah, and this is Danielle winds down the windscreen and goes slag, and Harry like pops his head out of the cabin like what's going on here? Nothing. So
well, she said it was just a friend being a funny joke.
Yeah, that's it.
Which next week I really want Harry to run around calling everyone a slag. Because he thinks it's a funny joke.
Todd goes to see Sarah in the flat later, and she's a little bit worried because of what Harry overheard. And she's like, honestly, I don't know how long all this can be kept a secret. Sarah, you being a slag is not a secret.
Yeah, we all know.
We all know. Sorry.
If I was Sarah, I would definitely have called Todd a slag at this point.
I think... You know, the calling boy outside the cabin who is facing the Platt's house. He's called himself Horse.
You can't
for all
speak
these
anymore.
years.
Yeah.
He started in the 90s.
I tell you what, if Doctor Who wasn't for kids, that would definitely be one of the villains one week.
Yeah, he's like the variation of the Blinking Angels that they call you a slag.
An ancient piece of street furniture that can no longer speak because it's shouted slag for hundreds of years.
I want to have a scene. I want somebody to make an edit of that where instead of Danielle calling out the window, it's the cabin boy.
The calling boy, not the cabin boy.
No, the cabin boy, I said.
Yeah,
the boy from the cabin. The calling cabin boy going slag. That's totally what it is. He's silently shouting out that Sarah's a slag.
What a judgmental arsehole he is.
I think that, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether we must have seen him, but I quite like now that Sarah's living in Red Bank for her to open her curtains one day, look down onto Victoria Street and
just looking up, silently screaming slag.
Yeah, that's a total horror movie villain there, isn't it? It's like It Follows.
Do you remember when she had her breakdown when she had Harry? Yeah. Imagine if that had been involved in it somehow. Just him outside the window and she's the only one who can see him. And she's like, he's shouting slag at me. He's calling me a slag. Yes, Sarah, everyone is.
Oh, I need to do some photoshopping with that now. Anyway,
that could be the picture that you upload to YouTube. The calling boy just shouting slag.
So Todd goes to see Sarah in the flat later. Times? I've said this already.
Take a drink every time we say slag this episode.
I know. I don't know whether we're going to have to put an explicit explicit language.
I think we did. Does it count as explicit?
Yeah, but I know we're being very off topic in today's discussion, but what was the discriminatory language on Wednesday's episode? Because it wasn't this, because this was Monday.
About it.
We saw the warning for it, and we were like, oh, what's it going to say? I wondered whether it was going to be literally Danielle saying something incredibly inappropriate and homophobic. But
I was waiting for some homophobic.
I think the consensus on the internet was Reese saying that he'd be a bit miffed off if little Albanian child got Frankie's cuddly kangaroo. So it was...
But being Albanian is not...
Tame discriminatory language, I have to say.
You're not discriminating against somebody by calling them Albanian if they are from
Actually
Albania.
Albanian, no. Anyway, how long can Sarah keep all this up? She's saying with Todd. Todd says, look, I've decided now that I'm going to keep things going on with Theo because he's got lovely arms. And Sarah says, well,
I know,
Danielle comes round asking questions. I am not going to think twice about putting her in her place.
What she means is that if Danielle comes and calls me a slag again, I'm not taking it lying down this time, which is what my problem was the first time, if you remember.
I wonder whether... Yeah, I know. Maybe next time... no, it's not going to fit in. But they could have had a scene where Theo was working on his scaffolding and Danielle drives past going, gay! That would have set her as the villain, wouldn't it?
Yes,
probably.
That's homophobic.
That is a little bit. Right, Wednesday comes round. Todd sees Theo in the street. Things haven't been going so well with those two after Monday's episode. Danielle's kicked him out of the house, and he's feeling pretty down, but he's gonna sort it out or something. He's gonna be fine. He's determined to make this work. So Todd is in the factory later, telling Sarah what's happened. She's not really interested in hearing about it anymore. She's given up on the idea.
She's not interested now. She's had some kickback.
Yeah.
She's all championing it, and now she's suddenly thinks it's a bad idea.
She's had some kickback, and she wants to get kit back.
Yeah.
That's what she goes on Wednesday. She says... He says, look, I'm really sorry that I used your flat like a hotel. Then Theo skulks in behind him.
Knocking shop, you mean?
It was very much a knocking shop. Theo skulks in and says, yeah, I'm sorry as well. She doesn't want to hear it. She's like, let me get on my work. Although it doesn't take much convincing, to be honest, that she then says, okay, you can use this room if you want to.
For what, Sarah, you slag?
Well, she says they just want to talk, but you know they're going to be at it. They're going to be totally Toya and Imranning on that desk,
They
aren't
talk with body language.
Yes, they do. So, Sarah, you're a massive enabler. You can't...
Yeah.
And we know that there's CCTV at that factory as well, don't we? Thanks to the Stephen saga.
Yes.
So, Todd and Theo start off by arguing, and we all know what that turns into on this programme.
Murder or sex?
Yeah, I wonder which one it was. Theo refuses to be honest about his sexuality to his family, he says, and he's determined to fix things at home. And Todd's like, oh, is this it for us then? Todd is just being pulled back and forth all week. So, we had then Kit and Sarah. Kit's, is a little bit weirded out by Sarah's reaction when Danielle drove past the other day, but he soon forgives her when she apologises, and she says that honestly the Todd situation is all sorted out.
No,
now.
it isn't.
It's all fine.
No, it isn't.
No, it's not, because Danielle then marches in saying, oh, you snag! Where are you hiding Theo then? Where is he? He's not stayed with me. Where you got him? Sarah's like, I honestly don't know, but please stay away from my son and stop calling me a slag in the street. Because everybody knows. Kit saves her bacon, though, by telling Danielle that Sarah actually barely even knows Theo. He's just doing a bit of scaffolding at the factory. If you want to go and find out what he's up to, maybe knock on Todd's door, because if they're supposedly best mates, surely he'd know what's going on. So, Todd, meanwhile, is still trying to convince Theo to come out of the factory. He won't, he says. No, in fact, I'm finishing work here today.
When you said that, I thought you meant come out of the factory, but he means come out.
At the factory, yes.
Come out.
Come out. Speaking of, what were we talking about Wizard of Oz earlier? Come out, wherever you are.
As a friend of Dorothy.
Exactly.
Is that a song?
What?
We haven't watched Wicked. We need to watch Wicked.
I'm so hyper about this evening. Theo's saying, look, I'm going to be out of your hair in a minute. I'm going. I'm
coming out all right
anymore.
Of your hair.
Out of your life, Todd. And Todd says, no, we've clearly got feelings
Let's
for
just kiss each other.
they're not going to stop.
Let's just kiss each other.
Let's just kiss each other just to be sure. And so they do. They're snogging away merrily when who should come in but Danielle. And I know it's not a complete coincidence because Kit did send her in that direction.
Yeah.
He says later he did it on purpose. But
Love it.
She could have come in at any time, but no, it had to be the moment when he was sticking his tongue down his throat right at the very moment, and then all hell breaks loose.
Oh no!
Danielle breaks loose.
Oh yeah, good for her.
Like I said, I think she could have ramped it up another level. Yes, she was kind of banging on his chest, screaming
crying,
at him, but
everything's a lie.
I just would like I want to know, has she ever suspected that he was gay, you know? Because if she'd have started saying things like, oh, I knew it, that time that you...
I knew you didn't watch Poldark for the plot.
Yes, exactly that.
I knew that you weren't enamoured by the athleticism of Tom Daly like you told me that you were. There's something weird going on the amount of times you watch that dive-in competition in the Olympics.
I knew that whenever we go into Frescoes and we're in the underwear section and you're not just hanging around looking at the boxes to decide whether you want to get boxes or briefs.
You know what size you are. Stop pretending you can't decide between extra large and large.
So anyway, no, she gives him what for. I'm hoping that there will be more next week because Danielle Unhinged is great television, I will say. But anyway, she stomps off with Theo going after her saying that I need to sort things out. He can't let her go. And I think part of it is because he does still in some way love her and he's potentially losing everything.
Yeah, everything. His children, his home, his wife.
I wonder how much, if anything, we'll see of his children.
You don't even know whether he's worked with homophobic people.
Yeah, he could do. Do you think that we'll see his kids again? Because I feel like I'd be interested. Yeah, the fact that they cast them and they haven't cast Lou's children.
I don't even think I was going to say Lou's children didn't even get.
No. I'd be really interested to see their reaction to this. Would Danielle even tell them the reason why she split up with her dad? Although by the end of the week, they're back together again, aren't they? Danielle is also a little bit in denial. Anyway, so where are we?
Well, Todd's mad.
He goes to the bistro. He tells Sarah and Kit, "Why on earth did you lead Danielle to the factory?" And Kit's like, "Look, I just needed this over with. So yeah, maybe I gave coincidence a little bit of a helping hand.
You made it my business, so I made it your problem."
Yep, exactly. And Todd goes and makes his way to Julie's banging party at the Rovers later, and is like, "Oh, I'm really sad now." And Julie's like, "Just give him time. Just be patient. I'm sure that true love will triumph over all," which is clearly you and this man that you just barely know. So over at Red Bank, we have a little scene. Oh, I mean, the story, it doesn't go much further for Theo and Todd this week, does it? It kind of the gear shifts more to Sarah and Kit together. So we see Sarah opening up about baby Billy, and before long, Kit and her are back together again, and they kiss, and that's about as much as that goes there. End of the episode, you got a bit of a roughy-tufty scene between Todd and Theo, haven't you? Because Todd's coming out of the kebab shop and Theo marches up to him, shakes him by the lapels and is like, "I don't want anything to do with you anymore. This is over." He's clearly putting on this show of masculinity and rejection because Danielle's there watching in the car behind him. Do you think that Danielle is being made out to be a bit coercive? Is this? Because there's got to be something that's going to make us go, "Oh, she's a bad guy now," because she's a lot of people's heroes at the moment.
She's not a hero. She's just reacting like a normal person. And I don't like it when that gets kind of villainised on Corrie, because Corrie's really bad at making you a bad guy if you're getting in the way of a main character, even if you're in the right. But I think that, Theo is roughing Todd up, and this would not have been acceptable if this was, Todd was a girl, if this was a heterosexual relationship.
That's true, yeah. If it was two women and a man in between, if he got up to her and shoved her out of the way,
pushed a woman, because he's a guy, somehow it's okay. But it's like Theo kind of shakes him, like partly to kind of show off to Danielle, like, "Look, I've picked you," but also kind of rejecting his own sexuality in a kind of physical sense. Like, I'm pushing him away, and I don't know whether Danielle kind of made him do it or encouraged him to do it.
Or did he say, look, I promise I will show you that I'm over him?
It was very toxic, no matter what the reason was, and it was kind of a bit gross, really, because Todd's quite a bit smaller than him. So he hasn't got great arms.
He doesn't know.
And so it felt like he was being bullied, and it was almost it was almost a homophobic attack, really, because he was attacking him. Well, it wasn't just almost; it was a homophobic attack.
Yeah.
And you can still do it if you're gay, the same way as you can be a woman who's a misogynist.
Hey, tell you what, if one of Sean's mates had seen him doing it, maybe Theo would have got a reputation as the one that roughed up Sean in an alley. I know he was the one that saved him at the end afterwards. But
Theo could be friends with
round the other side.
Mick.
Maybe he could.
Like, we both beat up gay guys, but it wasn't because they were gay, was it?
No, in both instances.
So we're being unfairly maligned.
Yeah.
It's not.
So anyway, after this scene of violence, Theo gets into the car with Danielle, who is looking proper fuming, isn't she? She's
also looking
I want to know more about her. I want to know more. Like, is she still mad at him?
She's a lot more interesting than bloody Theo, I can tell you that for nothing. Todd should go out with her.
How in denial is she now? Does she think that she can
fixed?
Sway Leo back to her?
This is unfixable, I think.
It depends, because if he is truly, bisexual, and he can just dump this person, so that some people will forgive their spouse for cheating on, without the gay element being in it. So maybe she's thinking the same thing. He surely still loves me. He's been with me all this time. Maybe I have never doubted in the past. We've got these children together. I think...
Yeah, I guess
I don't
it's
see...
a line that you wouldn't be able to cross with me, so I don't really understand.
I don't really see a rosy future for the Silvertons here.
No, they're not going to have a happy marriage, are they? Oh, good, it's all fixed.
No. But I think she's still thinking...
Well, I think they both think they fixed it.
And then we have had insinuations before that she comes from an especially traditional family, should we say. So maybe she's thinking, I need to... keep up appearances for my parents or for the neighbours.
Hate to say this, but it's not untraditional to be gay. It's actually quite traditional.
I know. Anyway,
it's a very traditional
hobby. that part of the storyline definitely fizzles out by Friday, and I think the most we see of it is Todd drowning his sorrows in the bistro towards the end of the episode, and Julie saying, "Oh, don't give up." And
Julie, mind your bloody business.
Oh no, sorry, that happened. No, maybe Julie says it then, but Eileen's saying you should give up because Theo clearly isn't the man for you.
Yes.
But the other bit on Friday.
Anyone speaking any sense?
The other bit on Friday is David and Sarah, isn't it?
David and Shona.
Oh, Sarah was in it as well, though. But yeah, we did talk on the podcast last week
We confidently said,
oh, definitely, they're moved out with Audrey now, haven't they?
Obviously.
No, they haven't. They've just been spending the last month in the south of France with Gail, apparently.
I don't believe them, because where's their sachets of lavender and their little soaps?
Exactly.
Their Provençal mix of herbs.
Don't say... Did you say herbs?
Herbs.
Thank you very much. We pronounce our H's this podcast, thank you. That reminds me of that bit on the Millennium episode of Coronation Street when Curly says that round here we're a bit like the French because we don't pronounce our H's. Anyway, I've forgotten completely what I was saying. They've been visiting Gail. She knows all about Max and the fire now. And Lily's gone off to school. And what do they walk in on? But Sarah Louise with a towel round her. A surprising, not much of a reaction from David just for that.
It's her house.
I know it is, but I don't know.
How many people walk around their house like that anyway? I'd never do that.
Well, I know you don't, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But if your brother and his wife and child is...
She's given this key out to everybody. She's a slag. She's given this key out so many people. You couldn't even go to the loo with the door open when you're by yourself in that house.
If you've got house guests, don't walk around like that. And I know she didn't think that they would be back by this point, but the fact that David didn't go, Sarah, makes me think that she's always flaunting her shoulders.
Yeah, if you saw your sister walking around with just a towel around her, you'd be like, "Wah!"
Well, he was obviously a lot more disgusted by the second person who then comes out with a towel wrapped round them, which is DC Green, who is his sworn enemy after he slept with his wife last year. Shona doesn't really care about this, does she? That Sarah seems to have taken up with Kit.
No.
I can't remember. David's like, "Oh, Shona, you're disgusting. Isn't it horrible, Shona?" And she's like, "I don't really care."
Sarah, you're disgusting.
Sarah, you're disgusting. Isn't it disgusting, Shona? And she's like, "I'm not really bothered." I think that she probably would and should be.
I don't care, but I think she's funny.
It was a funny line.
And also David calls Kit a raging sexaholic, and Sarah thinks that's brilliant.
I think David's just a little bit jealous that Kit's got all the women falling at his feet.
I don't think he's jealous that he shagged Sarah.
Maybe not with that bit, I'll give you, but yeah.
Who's next? The dog?
Oh, God,
Going to go through everyone in this house?
Certainly hope not. Eileen and Jude. Oh, I've said this, but already. Oh no, the girls try and make the men make up, don't they?
Well, they shake hands, and then David wipes his hand on his t-shirt, which is funny.
It was.
I do feel bad for him because he is being, Kit did beat him up and say he was going to arrest him, and he
slept with Shona, the cardinal sin. It's not on, but I don't think it's out of character for Sarah whatsoever to not give two hoots about what David thinks about
Shona.
her. Well, I could see that Sarah should be a little bit more.
No, this has just moved in. This is now a comedy storyline that David doesn't like Kit. That's it. It's not like a serious storyline anymore. It's just funny.
Well, David, he didn't get out the list, but he did kind of insinuate that every one of Sarah's boyfriends is trouble, and he's not wrong there, because obviously he is a massive bent copper, is Kit, isn't he?
Yeah, literally.
And I'm sure that's going to. What do you mean, literally?
He's massive.
What does that mean? He's a bent copper because he's
massive.
He has to crouch down to get underneath doors.
He's a massive.
Yes.
Bent copper.
Oh yeah. Oh, I get it. Don't roll your eyes at me. Sarah and Kit go to the pub later, and they're agreeing to be a proper couple and basically just snog for all and sundry. Sarah just doesn't mind what anybody sees of her, does she? Yeah, I'll snog who I like. I'll walk around with a towel, whatever. And so then, what do we have? Who's it? Glenda and Daisy that were looking at her?
And saying what?
I can't remember. Our new love or something? I don't know. David comes in and he's shaking his head by the whole thing. So, he's not impressed, and I'm sure that will lead to many amusing confrontations between the two of them in the following weeks. I hope that David is the one to take down Kit and reveal his...
Take him down? What? He's not going anywhere now. He's too tall anyway.
Anyway, that was a fun story this week, wasn't it? Did you enjoy it?
Well, yes. I mean, we talk about it at the end, though, don't we? Don't we?
Yeah, no.
I like Kit. I think he's a mischief maker.
I just like that this story is just normal soap of fairy stuff, and I'm not having my awareness raised of anything.
You are a bit, because we're kind of, Theo's sexuality is a bit of a... It's not an issue, but
it's not an issue. I'm not going to ITV.com/advice for this story.
Are you a gay scaffolder?
It's just normal, and the characters in it are kind of
any story
long-termers.
Where somebody
it's
shouts slag out of a window is a good story.
That's a proper soap story in my book. Right, what's next? Carp fishing for carp. Brian, Julie, bittersweet, tragic, and possibly the end for Eileen and George.
Oh, Julie, just mind your business, love.
She's got to stick her nose in it while she can.
What did I say her nickname should be? Auntie Amorgeddon.
Amorgeddon?
Yeah.
Because
she's dying, but she's Cupid with Death Wish.
I like it. Amorgeddon. I'm loving... There was so really, really sweet scenes. I felt all warm and fuzzy inside when Brian and Julie had that kiss on Wednesday's episode.
Spoiler.
Lovely stuff. Do you want to run down what's happened?
Yeah, it's my story.
Go for it then.
Monday, Julie hears from Fizz that the factory building work is taking longer than it's supposed to, and because of all the shagging that's going on, and so it's going to be closed tomorrow. And she's really excited and says, "Oh, maybe all the girls and we could all go for a stroll in the country."
I can't believe how Corrie teased me with a possible location.
We knew
shoot,
they weren't going to take us to the countryside.
And then they didn't do it.
No. She has to decline an invitation from Brian for breakfast because she's really unwell and she's got to conserve her energy. So he invites himself around with some flowers and wants to take her to lunch. And she's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds really nice." A lot of this was kind of quite sweet in a way because it's almost like she's like a kid again, and Eileen's like her mum, like, "No, you can't, you've got to rest, like you can't," like trying to stop her, and she's like, no, I want to, I'm so excited.
And she's getting her caller, her gentleman caller, like, is Julie
Mrs.
Grimshaw?
No, she's not coming out to play, she's sick.
It's just so sweet and soppy. And I prefer this kind of thing a million times over the usual let's just get into bed sort of thing that we're so used to seeing on Coronation Street. It's a bit like, you know, a Seven Nina romance. They do it so well sometimes, and I'm just absolutely loving what we're seeing between Brian and Julie. I'm really glad that they've lent into this.
Julie's definitely Tiny Timming it, isn't she?
She is a little
She's like,
bit.
"Oh, I'm so excited. Ha, 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 ha. Calm down, Tiny Tim, you might die." So they head to the cafe. She's clearly struggling. And Brian gets a call from Rita. So he's got to go because they've fiddled around with the electrics and they've lost power in the shop. And so when he leaves...
The shop's been on blackout for about 1.5 years at this point, hasn't it? Which is why we've not seen inside it.
All the sweets are stuck together.
Maybe Rita's this is the first time she's tried going into the shop since then and she's only noticed.
Julie pushes her plate to one side because she can't eat it, and she was only kind of doing it to please Brian.
You noticed that she had an uneaten sandwich in today's episode as well, didn't you?
Yeah, she's off her food. So Roy brings over a hot water bottle and says, "Oh, you know, when Hayley was dying, it's helped out." Julie bursts into tears because she can't keep up this facade of being normal, and she's in so much pain, and that and her biggest regret is that she's gonna die alone. And Roy says that Hayley was adamant that her illness wouldn't stop her making the most of her final few months, and she says, "Oh, I hope I can be as brave as Hayley." And Roy's like, "You know what? Maybe everyone thought she was brave and she was smiling in public, but it was really hard in private."
So it looks like they were going through pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Julie and Hayley were good friends, weren't they? I think.
Well,
Pretty
they're
sure.
both dead
They're
soon
both
enough.
factory girls together. They'll be sewing knickers together in the sky before long.
Glenda is going to put on a big bingo night to raise some money for this fake trip that Julie wants to go on. Julie comes home.
I think that Glenda sabotaged the coach, you know, because she's like, let's just get them into the Rovers, and all this money that we've raised from everybody will just end up going in our tills.
Yeah,
that's business
suckers.
mind, that is.
Julie comes home later and everyone's in the middle of an argument, and this is when Julie finds out that Todd's been seeing Theo. Theo is they're all having this argument, aren't they, about it, and she wants the family to be happy. So Brian goes back to the cafe after having fixed Rita's electricity problem to find Julie's not there anymore, and Roy tells her that Julie's just happy to be with him. And Brian says, "You know, I want to be more than just friends, but it doesn't matter how long she's got left." So he goes over to see Julie later and he gives her a bag of midget gems, which is her favourite.
Sweet.
I wonder if he bought them or if he just stole them off Rita or something.
When the lights are out.
Yeah, she's like, "Brian."
What's that rustling sound in the
Nothing,
sweets?
shut up,
Nothing. Oh, now I've found the fuse box.
Just the wires. So Brian says, "It's been so lovely getting to know you again." And then he tries to take it a bit into romantic territory, but she just kind of blocks him and asks him if he's coming on this trip tomorrow, and he says absolutely.
Do you think that Brian is... Because the whole of this story is about, you know, should he be doing this or should he not? Where are you on the...
What do you mean, why?
Are you also a hopeless romantic and you like the idea
This
of
is
Brian
great.
standing
Of
by
course you
Julie?
should. Of course you should.
Yeah. It's not like he's trying to do it to get written into a will or anything, is it? To get the massive carp fortunes.
I think George was right, though, to sort of caution, you know, are you sure? because this is going to be really hard. It's going to be so much harder than you can ever imagine. And if you're not sure and you bail halfway through, you're going to devastate her. You're going to live with regrets if you feel like you're tricking her.
If Julie finds you caressing Theo's arms and outside the factory,
go and have a feel of his arms and just see if it intoxicates you.
Yeah, okay. Maybe that should be the test on Coronation Street.
If only Theo had someone's arm to rub, and he would know, wouldn't he, whether he was an arm rubber or not. Right, so Wednesday, Brian's very excited about this trip. He's got some provisions, and Eileen's not very impressed because he got malted biscuits, and what else? The other thing he had?
I can't remember, but they were pretty dull, weren't
fairly
they?
Unimpressive.
Water biscuits.
Yeah, water biscuits. And Julie's like, it's not for you. It's for me.
He's a confectioner. Well, I know he's a teacher.
I think, to be honest with you, water biscuits are probably a good shout for Julie.
I suppose so. Yeah.
She's still wincing. She's determined to go to an occasion shoot, but they haven't cleared the insurance form, so she can't. Julie goes upstairs, and Brian tells George that he wants to be closer to her and support her, and he has a deep love. And he's like, look, the circumstances are this. Is it? I don't think it's a good idea.
What a killjoy, George. But like you said, I think a note of caution wouldn't go amiss here. So
everybody's in the pub, aren't they? And they hear that the minibus is packed up on the motorway. What's wrong with the ring road being chocker?
Oh, this somewhere I think it was this episode that the Corrie minibus crash of 2015 or whatever it was got a call out, didn't it? Doesn't Julie say, well, I hope Steve McDonald's not driving the last time I got into a minibus with him? The minibus crash...
It's not really gone down in history, is it?
No, Gemma knows what I was going to say here because we talked about it the other day. But there's lots of Corrie stunts where you go, yeah, that was a classic stunt. Everybody remembers this. Victoria Court fire, that, and the Rovers fire. That maybe it's just the fires, I don't know. But there's so many stunts that whether or not you think that they were, big or well done or whatever, you think, oh yeah, I remember that. It feels like the coach crash, the minibus crash or whatever it was, has been kind of almost collectively erased from the memories of Coronation Street viewers. And I wouldn't say that it was particularly badly done. I just don't think it's anything that anyone ever thinks about.
There's just so many things that have happened, you can't remember all of them.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to kind of think of some other moments that were big at the time and have literally just become nothing. I would reel them off now, but that's the point. I've forgotten about them.
Yeah. Nice
to get a call out to it anyway.
So Julie's like, you know what? Maybe I don't think I can manage it anyway, and I just want to stay here and be with other people, my friends and the people I love, and with you, Brian. And he says, I want to stay with you too every step of the way. And then they kiss.
Lovely.
And Brian says, I want you, warts and all.
Eileen's like, she's got plenty of those.
You're not dying of warts though, is she?
Maybe she is.
Oh my God, maybe terminal warts.
Maybe that's what Sarah Louise is going to end up with. Dear. She keeps on the way she's going at the moment.
Remember, be safe.
Be safe, boys and girls.
She's the love of his life. Does Brian say about Julie?
Yes, she does say that.
George does not look impressed. Eileen's lapping it up. Julie gets Brian up and they do a karaoke duet. Oh my God. Say that word for me.
Duet.
Thank you. Eileen twigs that something's gone on between George and Brian, and he tells her that he's like, I just said to him, watch out, because he's basically saying, like, I've seen lots of people at their worst, and I want Brian to know what he's in for. I've seen grief. It's terrible.
I've seen dead people.
I've seen dead people all the time. I don't even know they're dead. Eileen says, well, maybe you should keep your mouth shut. She gets really upset about this. She doesn't drop this all day.
I get the impression that... No, I got the impression that it was just a little bit too harsh, the sudden fallout and...
This doesn't really
between
make a lot of sense
Eileen
to me.
and George. And it's not like there've been a couple that have been, all over each other, the hottest romance on the street. To be honest, we've not seen very much with them at all. And we did, I think it was one of my predictions at the beginning of the year, that they would have, not marital issues, but they'd have romantic issues because...
They've been having troubles, haven't they? They've mentioned each other.
I don't think that we've seen anything that's rung alarm
no,
bells.
Hang on. anytime Coronation Street shows you a couple having an argument, looking at each other sadly, not having a good time with each other, you know that is their shortcut for saying, this has been going on for months.
But couples argue all the time.
Yes, in real life.
Yeah, I suppose, when Tracy and Steve split up, Tracy was like, oh yeah, well, I've not been enjoying us for a while. But this felt similarly abrupt.
No, it didn't, because I'm sure they've given us hints.
It's only slight ones.
But they
has
put them
rocky
in.
patches.
No. They don't put them in for no reason, do they? They don't put them in for no reason. It's building up to this. And it's not just the fact that... I think that Eileen's using this as a kind of smokescreen for the fact that she's got a bit upset that Julie and Brian are so much more in love than she thinks she is with George.
Yeah.
And it's not really too much about well, maybe it is a bit about that, but
you can't compare the rekindling of this great romance, and obviously there's going to be a whole lot more flowers and poems than...
Yeah, because he knows he doesn't have to buy them out anymore after this year. He can spend his whole flower budget for the next 10 years in 1 month.
Don't use it all up before she goes, though, otherwise what's he going to put on a grave?
All the drieder ones. Anyway, so... they're happy, aren't they? Julie
they're doing some karaoke.
Escorting
they're
home.
having a lovely time.
Todd tells Eileen it's nice to see they've found each other again, and Eileen's like, yeah, it must be really nice if you find a true love. And she looks at George like, oh, not like this lump. So back at the house, Eileen snaps at George and Mary because
aren't we all?
They come home and they're just singing, and she's like, can you shut up, please? I'm trying to sort out Julie's med. She's dying. And Brian's like, oh, don't worry, she misses a dose or two. Which
George says that, doesn't he?
George says that, and she's like, how dare you? That was a bit unnecessary.
Not wrong.
It's not right, though, because you don't know what the meds are. No. Yeah, they're not curing her, but they're going to stop her pain. There's probably nausea in there. There's probably sleeping stuff. It will matter if she misses them, because they're all to do with managing her symptoms of dying of cancer. George, are you all right with that? Anyway, I'd be mad about that, but she just seems to be... She's like, oh, you've got so many opinions on Julie, haven't you? Like, her love life, her medicine, but you've got no idea what you're talking about. You can sleep on the sofa. And he's like, what have I done? And she's like, work it out.
I think that this was just a big ruse from Eileen because George's snore machine has stopped working and she wanted a reason to get him onto the sofa.
I'd just go, I'm not sleeping on the sofa. I'm going to go to my mansion.
Well, that's right. Is Glenn to live in there now?
Well, she can budge over.
I think if I was kicked out of a bed, I wouldn't be going to a different house if there was a sofa down there because I would be laying in wait to pounce in the morning, which is what he attempts on Friday.
To pounce what?
To
go back in the bed?
On you, or whoever it is that I've been kicked out of bed by to go, sorry, are we friends now?
I feel bad for him because he's so tall. That was really cruel to make him sleep on a two-seater sofa.
Is he unusually tall? Would you make Kit sleep on that sofa?
Kit would have to accordion himself.
If Kit was sleeping over at number 11, he'd have his head in the welcoming hall and the feet in the kitchen.
Yeah. Eileen comes downstairs and George tries to talk to her from the sofa and he says, I am kind and considerate. And she says, Julie deserves all the happiness she can get. I expected more from you and you tried to take it away from her. So he goes to work and tells Todd, I don't understand what I've done wrong. And Todd says, look, Eileen, just tell her you care. She'll come round eventually. So Eileen sits with Julie at the cafe and she's saying, oh, you get on well with Brian. And then she starts trying to say that she's not exactly passionately in love with George, but he's a nice man and he takes the bins out. And you stopped taking the bins out now. So.
I took the bins out a few times last weekend.
Interesting.
So what would you say about me?
I'd say... he's a nice man, and he sometimes takes the bins out.
Thanks. Nice to know that I'm nice.
What would you say about me?
We're running out on this podcast already. Excellent chef.
Meanwhile, Brian's writing Julie a poem. You don't write me poems. You used to draw me pictures, and you don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Back at home,
one of my wooing techniques for Gemma was drawing pictures
and reading stories in accents,
in funny voices. Yeah, I'm not even a very good drawer either, am I? So that's how it's true love. Despite not being a very good artist at all, I still wooed you with pictures that were not the best.
And it showed that I loved you because I went, that's great. I love this picture.
Put this one on the fridge.
Back at home, Julie asks Eileen if she and George's relationship has grown a bit pedestrian, and she wonders, are you just settling? You deserve to be properly happy. So when George comes home, Julie gives them some space and they have a chat. And he says, look, I realise I was wrong. I'm really sorry. If you were facing the end like Julie, I'd make every minute with you count. You mean so much to me. I have lovely thoughts about you every day, but I don't say them. That's not enough. I need to show it with actions. And he gives her a hug. But she just seems like she's still not happy with this. Brian and Julie come in and they are going to the bistro together and they're like, oh, la, 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 la. And Eileen's just looking miserable again.
I kind of understand Eileen's point of view that if you're having this new romance flaunted in your face, it is going to make you wonder. But I would hope that she could, once time goes by, think, no, I do actually love George, just in a different way. I feel really bad for George at this moment.
I do think, though,
he's not done anything wrong.
He hasn't done anything wrong. Julie tells Eileen that she is ridiculous for settling with George and that she should... I think the way to tell if you're...
in the throes of romance?
No. The way to tell if you're a solid long-term couple is when another couple are like Julie and Brian, and they're like, ooh, la, 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 poems, flowers, whatever. You look at each other and go... and like, yeah.
That's how you know that you're solid.
You don't get jealous about it. You just go, they'll learn.
Do you remember when we were like that? Suckers. Yeah, I feel really bad for George because I know obviously Eileen's situation is even more terrible because she's losing her sister, but George is suffering in a different way through literally no fault of his own, and I think it was fair enough for him to have expressed his views on Brian and Julie and the concerns.
I think saying that about the meds was a bit out of pocket. I don't know why he decided to say that,
especially if he knew that he wasn't necessarily in her good books anyway.
I guess I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because he wasn't really saying, oh, I hope that you go into this with an open mind and not for the wrong reasons. He literally said, are you sure?
Do you think there's any fault at all, or the fact that Julie said yes to Brian, should she have said yes?
Oh God, I'm not having this.
Was that selfish? Because she knows that she's now potentially, definitely inflicting carer status on him.
That's a Mills and Boone, will they, won't they, fanny around for 3 weeks.
I suppose she's got every right to be selfish.
They both love each other, and they both have loved each other before. That's the difference. It's not like it's a new relationship and they're not sure.
Yeah.
They split up. And it felt wrong when they split up the first time, didn't it? They always felt like they were really good together.
I thought they were fab together. And yet another reason why I'm still mad at Coronation Street for giving Julie this disease. Because if, she was back for good and properly, and we also got this and thought, oh, they're back together and it's lovely and we got a lovely new Corrie couple on the street. But honestly, it's just tinged with sadness now because it's got a countdown on it.
Well, maybe she just read the letter wrong.
I wouldn't explain the wincing, would it?
Maybe she's got gas.
Could be just that.
I get that sometimes. Painful.
Right. That was it for that story. Lovely stuff. We had the Jenny Connors story next, which is an awful lot of fun as well.
Street.
This was Revelations here, wasn't it? Well, kind of. A few, one or two. So we have a Rita appearance at the beginning of Monday's episode, the back room of the Rovers. They're being listened into by Christina, who's busily plotting away, and Jenny kind of says to Rita, I'm going down the bank tomorrow, and I'm not going to come back without a yes for a loan on this place. And Christina's like, right, we need to up the ante here, otherwise she's going to get a loan and
the money will go away because the money that she's got is going to be put down. Now this is what's the word, confession time here. We're not completely sure what's going on with all the money stuff.
I don't.
Because
I think
Carla wants the
errands
money,
trying to track this money.
And Daisy had the money off Daniel, and then she gave it to Shona, and Daniel doesn't seem to care. But what the money is owed still by?
I think Bertie's keeping it all, to be honest. I think
there's definitely something that's gone on with Shona and Daniel and Daisy about the money that I'm not completely 100% sure
But
on.
some of this money is Greg's money, isn't it? That's the money that Jenny's got.
All you need to worry about is 60 grand that Jenny's got, that she got from Greg. Her and Greg had stocks together. and she's taken it and not told anybody. Carla's saying, I want you to sell the Rovers because I want the money now. Well, I'm selling it anyway so I can get the money because I've given you enough time and you haven't given me my money. And she told Jenny to use the 60 grand as collateral for a business loan to buy the pub herself. She says, I don't care who buys it as long as it's sold. So Jenny's trying to get this loan with the money that she's kind of acquired under dubious circumstances, part 2. And meanwhile, Daisy and Christina are trying to con her from that 60 grand and take half each, is what Daisy thinks the plan is.
But the original money that was stolen by Uncle Stephen, that the trail of that is now been into... Is it buying number 8? Or did Audrey buy that? Because Shona got the money, didn't she? That was the money that originally started.
Shona's money got given to Harvey to keep...
Yeah, oh yes, that's right, isn't it?
And the reason that Daisy gave it to Shona is because she ran her over in a car.
Yes, that's it. Easy as that, simple, isn't it?
And so that's why I was like, don't worry about that because that is irrelevant.
Yes, you're right, it's completely irrelevant. But, right, what's going on?
We don't know.
Daisy finds Christina engaging in a spot of catfishing later. She's loving this, being Dom on the end of the phone and Jenny being there behind the bar. She's not carp fishing.
I said carp fishing, cat fishing.
There's so much fishing going on in Coronation Street.
I thought Tim was a fisherman, but...
Christina just loves the fact that this plan is stepping up a gear and everything.
Christina would kind of do this for free, I feel like.
I know she would, wouldn't she? Later in comes Dom. He's an actual person. He's not just made up by Christina. Although you might be right to be a bit wary about this chap because the actor has been in Coronation Street before, hasn't he? He was Michael, not Michael Bailey. Michael.
Don't be stupid.
Don't be silly. Not Mike Baldwin, but Michael the physiotherapist.
Not Michael Rodwell.
Not Michael Rodwell, even that. He was the physiotherapist that Jim had when he was in a wheelchair and he had it off with Liz. Same actor.
Been around
many
world.
Years later, 20 years almost later. But I didn't even
Still got an eye
recognise
for
him.
the ladies.
He does, yeah. I didn't recognise him. I don't know whether I would have done, but listener Rebecca emailed me the other day and said, "Oh, keep an eye out for him. It's a returning actor." But yeah, if you also recognised him and you wondered where,
you get a gold star.
That could be it. Anyway, Christina and Daisy watch on from the booth as Dom goes and kind of schmoozes with Jenny, and she's just all over him. Daisy thinks this is moving a bit too quickly, but Christina's like, no. Jenny was going to go to the bank. I had to stack things up a gear a little bit. Daisy's like, okay, but I'm really worried that Jenny's going to suss this guy out. I wouldn't be worried about that if I was Daisy, because Jenny's head's been in the clouds for months now, hasn't it? She's...
since she got contact with him?
Well, it's that as well, but Jenny has been written as being a bit ditzier these last few years. She didn't used to be. I think she used to be a lot more sly and with it. But for the purposes of this storyline, they've just dumbed her down just a little bit. And I'm hoping that when it all comes out, she's going to kind of
wisen up
take stock and realise not to be such a pushover and so gullible that she's been. And then on the other hand, you got conniving Christina, who's kind of got her finger completely on the pulse and knows exactly what to do and where to steer things. And I'm kind of enjoying her more. And I'm not thinking, oh no, Jenny, watch out. Are you? I'm kind of thinking, oh yeah, go for it, Christina. That's going to cause more drama. And I should be thinking, no, Christina, Jenny, watch out for her.
Okay.
Don't you think?
I don't know.
So it's I'm conflicted with this at the moment because Jenny's still obviously a favourite character of mine. But anyway, later on we got Christina still enjoying Jenny being charmed by Dom over in a booth somewhere. Daisy's a bit concerned that because of the speed that he's been shipped in, he wasn't fully briefed properly. And that would be something to be worried about because these text conversations have been going on incessantly for the last couple of weeks. But Dom hasn't seen the texts. Even if he has, he's not going to memorise everything that's on there. This is a really, really risky game that Christina's playing. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say?
I would have got him to do the texts.
Yeah, maybe just Christina is loving it too much, and she would have felt that it wouldn't be quite so much sport if somebody else had done it.
Christina's kink is that she likes being a dom.
But I think Rather than yeah, I think you're right. But anyway, it seems to be going fine by the end of the week. But clearly, there's going to be something that. Do you think that do you think they're going to end up getting the money off of Jenny?
I don't know. I don't know.
I really don't know. I don't want to think so.
I know who's not getting any, and that's Daisy.
That's revealed on Wednesday, isn't it? So later still in the episode, Jenny finally introduces, in inverted commas, Dom to Christina and Daisy, and Christina makes a bit of a show of letting the two lovebirds get on and enjoy themselves, and Dom's talking to Jenny about having a business he wants to sell, and he says, "Oh, how's your business loan going, Jenny?" "Not so good," says Jenny, and jokes that, maybe you could buy the pub. So this is kind of all going along very nicely to Christina's plan, and he tells Jenny, if anyone were to invest in my company in the next few days, if anyone was to invest in my company in the next few days, they would double their money once the sale goes through. "Oh, really?" thinks Jenny. "That would be very handy for me." And Jenny's still being conniving as well, isn't she? Because she's trying to get this pub completely away from Daisy, and she's not been honest with Daisy about everything. She's not told her about the money, but she's just being a bit... Yeah, she's not being as charming or sympathetic as Christina is, I feel.
Well, Jenny's doing it because Daisy tried to do it to her first with Daniel and write her out of the pub so that Bertie could get all the money.
Yeah, that's true.
So Jenny's like, so you can play at that game. I'm going to buy the pub myself. But I don't know what she thinks Daisy's going to do once she buys the pub, because it's going to come out at some point. Yeah. How is she going to explain it? Is she going to just say, "I got a loan"?
I'd really like that.
But why does she? How is she going to explain why Daisy's not allowed to be involved?
I need a nice little full-on two-hander scene between Jenny and Daisy, so they can thrash it out and say some home truths here. I'm a little bit disappointed that no more has been made, and I think it's too late now, of the whole Tom part of this story.
That was over.
That was over within an episode or two, and it was this mega revelation that we'd been waiting for years. Has kind of become nothing, but
only Greg knows.
There's still time. Wednesday's episode, Christina's telling Daisy that Dom's got Jenny exactly where they want her. She's on board with the investment. All systems go. By the end of the day, we're going to have everything that we need off of her. Then Daniel arrives, and I think we said last week on the podcast that we were thinking that Daniel should have been involved in this story a bit more, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's been a bit Daniel light, so he's obviously got the memo and shows up on Wednesday and saying, "Well, what's going on?" Daisy's obviously very secretive still about this plan that she and Christina are hatching. Obviously, Christina's got a extra level onto this plan here that Daisy doesn't know about, but she does say to him that she might be coming into some money soon from a distant aunt, and because that kind of thing happens in Coronation Street all the time, Daniel doesn't even bat an eyelid.
No, why would you?
Yeah, of course. So it's your turn to get the random drop of cash. Fair play. It was about your turn, Daisy. And she said, "We could get away from here. I just don't want to live in Weatherfield anymore. We could..." Is she talking about moving to France, I think, during the week, maybe?
Well, she said she wanted to be an au pair in Paris.
Yeah, that's it. And Daniel says, "Well, look, I can't just up and leave. I've got people that I know around here. My dad's around here. Bertie's settled in his school."
They already had this big fallout, though. That's what I don't understand.
But it was interesting, and fair play to Daisy for doing it, mentioning, you were happy enough to move up sticks and moved to London with Bethany just a few months ago, so got his number there, I'll tell you that. In the bar later, Jenny's telling Daisy how into Dom she is and how happy he makes her feel with his texts and everything, and Jenny goes into the loo. Christina comes along and tells Daisy Jenny's just texted Dom that she's going to invest in his business, she wants to know where to sign. Daisy has been looking a little regretful from time to time for the past few weeks, because it's nice that she still doesn't want Jenny to get hurt, and I think we see more of that on Friday, don't we, where she's worried that yes, she wants to have the last laugh and get the money back, but she doesn't want
Jenny to laugh along too.
She doesn't want Jenny's life to be torn apart, and Christina is obviously, her main aim is to make Jenny suffer as much as possible because of the effect that she had on her life when she stole Greg away from her all those years ago. But Christina, Daisy's saying, look, let's just get it over with. I'm gonna disappear off. And Christina says, no, there's no rush to get away. Daisy's not going to twig that it was you that was involved. Daisy's, really looking concerned here. So Daniel comes to the pub later, and after that mini adventure and drama and tension of, is he going to move away with Daisy when she flits off to Paris? Apparently Ken's given him his blessing to go wherever he likes.
I didn't like this, because this was a big deal before with this couple, that he wouldn't move, and that was a hard line
it just seems to have been solved.
And now he's like,
very quickly.
Ken doesn't mind. Why is Ken the only one you care about?
Yeah, and has he asked Bertie whether he minds about moving away from his school? Go and live in France is fine. He can go and be mates with Freddie Peacock, who is probably about 20 by this point.
He also probably hasn't learned a lick of French.
Probably not. Christina, this is the big reveal at the end of the episode, goes to the hotel, and who should be there but Dom. And she's like, right, Jenny wants to invest, we're in. And then they start to snog away. Yes, that's right. Christina and Dom are actually having an affair themselves. I couldn't remember whether...
I didn't know this. I was like, oh my God.
This was great. Because we weren't sure up to this point what the exact relationship was between Christina and Dom. But it looks like they're a couple. I'd love it if Christina is actually trying to have one over Dom as well. Like,
she's just so great.
Her plan,
why is she split? Yeah.
That we reveal at the end of the episode is that they're getting the money and they're kicking Daisy to the curb as well, and they're not going to let her have a jot of it, and they're just going to go off and cruise around the world with the money or whatever.
And I don't think this is a double cross that Christine is doing to Dom, because she keeps looking sad at Daisy. And she hasn't looked sad at Dom. But I don't understand...
I've kind of missed some of those looks. Is she looking regretful that she's fleecing her daughter?
Maybe I shouldn't, but the money. But I don't understand, because in the Daisy plan, is she telling Daisy that she's going to keep the money all for herself?
No, I think they said they're going to split it.
So why is Christina splitting half with Dom? Christina...
Well, because they're a couple, aren't they? So
listen to me. Christina doesn't get more... either way, does she?
No, but if she's giving it to Dom...
But it doesn't strike me that they're a couple...
they put it in a joint account.
They're not joint account couple people, are they? He just came back from holiday without her. They don't strike me as joint account couple, Michael.
Maybe.
You must be kidding me.
Not like Todd and Theo.
You're like, maybe they're gonna invest in the stocks and shares ISA and buy some premium bonds. Of course they're not.
Well,
So they're sexy, naughty people. They don't care about investments.
I would like the extra twist of it that she's trying to fleece him as well, but yeah, maybe that's taking it one step too far. She's just brilliant. And most characters, you'd think, no, they wouldn't do that, not to their own daughter, but it totally fits with Christina, because she has proven herself to be the world's worst mum on a number of occasions.
With Christina, you're like, I did wonder why she was being so nice to her own daughter.
Who was it that Christina was dating that one time? Was she dating Ryan or Daniel or... Then this is going to go a few years back. But yeah, she's got no qualms about being world's worst mother. It's great. It's great stuff.
The worst mother... She's not the world's worst mother, because there are... like rats that eat their babies. But it's just a step above.
She just doesn't have that feeling of loyalty.
No.
And I think we've had her sort of talk quite openly to Daisy about it in the past, or to some people, saying, like, I just don't feel the same towards my daughter as other people do. So in a way, we should have seen it coming, and maybe even Daisy should have seen it coming. But it was still a brilliant rug twist. No, rug pull. I don't know the expression. A rug pull when it happened on Wednesday, and I can't wait. I do not know what's going to happen. Would it be a satisfying ending if Christina gets the money? Because I can't see how...
I think it would be, actually. If she just runs off, maybe she does leave.
Yeah, like if she does a Lewis Archer. Yeah. Leaves her a video. Because I can't see how Daisy would get the money now. And, is Jenny going to keep it? I suppose, ideally, yes, that is what we want. But there's a part of me that kind of wants to see Christina do it, 'cause she's worked hard
She has
for
worked.
it. And does Jenny deserve it? Not really.
Well, Daisy, I think Jenny needs to stay in the pub, and that's all I care about.
Yeah, exactly. So there's another bit of a gobsmacking moment at the beginning of Friday's episode, wasn't there, when Jenny comes downstairs from the Rovers with Dom. They've spent the night together, because at the end of Wednesday's episode he gets summoned away, and Christina's expression was brilliant. It was a picture when she's like,
because
oh my gosh, you admit you were Jenny.
Daisy doesn't know that Dom and Christina are together.
No, exactly.
And so Christina has to try to hide it, like her shock.
Yeah. Well, she's saying, Daisy's saying, I thought we agreed no mucky business here, and Christina's like, yes, we did actually. She's not particularly happy with this, and I suppose maybe that's right what you were saying earlier about they're not a proper couple, because I think that if Christina thought that Dom had cheated on her with Jenny and she was serious about him, she'd be a lot more fuming.
That's what I mean. I think they're more literal partners in crime than anything serious.
Okay. Well, Jenny does admit to Daisy that she and Dom didn't get... What did she say? Nothing jiggy happened between them last night. But we did, we spent the night together in bed in each other's arms. And it was all lovely. This is the first person I've really connected to since Leo.
Well, Uncle Stephen... rest his soul.
I know, poor
How
Stephen.
could you reject
poor
him?
Stephen. You do feel about your past lovers different ways when they've taken you hostage, though, don't you? I suppose.
I wouldn't. What do you know about that?
I'll tell you later. She heads to the bar, and Christina comes in. Clearly, over the whole Dom sleeping with Jenny thing. She's just excited about how perfectly this is all turning out. And don't worry, Daisy. Yes, it's cruel on Jenny, but we just got to keep our eyes on the prize, and everything's going to go okay. Obviously, Daisy doesn't know that she's being taken advantage of here. So they almost get caught later in the hotel bar when, oh so coincidentally, when Daniel and Daisy are there for a massaging session, was it?
Everyone was getting a massage on Friday.
Layla was getting a massage on
babies,
Friday,
couples.
Yeah. Whose
that
ego.
was it, really. Yeah.
In come Christina and Dom, and Daniel's like, hang on a minute, what's your mum doing there with Daisy's bit on the
well, he
Jenny's
didn't
bit on
even
the
know
side?
that Christina was around, did he?
I thought he must have done. He's not been out of the story.
Well, he's
long
like,
enough.
why was she doing here with them?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why he went over there, because he thinks that Dom is cheating on Jenny with Christina. So he makes a bit of a fuss of it, and they luckily managed to ride it out.
Slag!
He goes over, and Dom, to be fair, is quite good at saying, "Oh, well, we just bumped into it. Carolina, is it, or Carolina, or something?" So Daniel is mega suspicious, but Daisy
they were too slick. They were too slick.
They were very slick, and Daisy says, "No, it's fine. Dom's not Christina's type." So Daisy goes to the bar later and confronts the pair and says, What's going on here? How close are you to... Christina's not bothered by any of this. She just laughs at Daisy's suggestion that now they're flirting. And she's like, no, I'm way out of Dom's league. Don't you worry about that. Back at the pub, Christina is on the phone once more to Dom, saying that Daisy doesn't suspect a thing.
And she's like, I feel a bit bad, really, because she's my daughter, but who cares?
Yeah, it's so cruel, but...
delicious.
This is how you make a good villain.
Yeah.
The villains that I love best in Coronation Street, so I'm like, yeah, kill them all. Burn the houses down of my favourite characters. Just take me along with the ride.
Stylishly.
And this is what I'm getting with Christina. It's brilliant. It's so fun.
She just camps. She just really camps because she's so beautiful. She's it's just like
the confidence
glamorous.
I love.
Yeah, glamorous. She's a proper con artist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really fun stuff. I'm sure that Jenny will come out on top in the end.
Well, I don't know.
I can't believe that Corrie wouldn't
Daisy
let it go that way, unless they're saying Jenny stole the money. She deserves to be kicked to the curb. I don't know.
Daisy tells Christina that she felt weird about her around her and Dom.
Oh yeah, about this.
And
vibe.
then she's like, no, you can trust me.
We just flirt a bit. It's fine. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Okay, let's move on. Sorry, Gemma, you get the Lauren and Betsy storyline.
No.
We're gonna have to rush it. We're having terrible technical issues today.
This
Like,
has been
seriously.
seriously awful.
This
We've
is probably the
lost
most...
an hour.
We have lost an hour of podcast today,
Yeah.
so unfortunately some of what you've heard today
And
has been the
it
second
stopped
go.
twice since, and so we're a bit worried that it's not doing it properly. So we're going to be brief now.
We'll be briefer than
I'm
usual,
so
but maybe
sorry.
some people will enjoy
I can't
that.
talk as much about Lauren. So basically, Wednesday's episode, we have a bit of a turn up for the books, don't we? Because Reese turns up, who is Lauren's evil dad.
Yeah, he sends her a kangaroo in the post.
So he sends it to the hospital where Lauren is with Frankie, who is what?
Everything was going great on Coronation Street, and then they were like, remember the Lauren storyline? Remember Frankie's really sick
Everybody
and he's had
loves
his transplant?
sickly children,
oh
don't
my
they?
gosh. It's just not doing it for me at all. And now Lauren's got a cough. It was like back in COVID times, wasn't it, with their masks
I think what's happened is somebody at Coronation Street heard me say that Corrie and Soaps are the Charles Dickens of their day and took it too literally, and now is writing in everyone's dying of consumption and influenza and sickly children left, right and centre and orphans.
I don't like being like overtly cruel and openly just snarky about characters, but I can't with Lauren. I can't summon the energy to go, oh, that poor girl.
It takes a lot of energy.
She's not going to be able to see her baby because she's got a cough.
Right, so Lauren's got a cough, and she's got to be careful around Frankie because of the transplant. So she rushes off to see her dad in prison. And he makes her take her mask off because he kind of goads her.
Well, he's trying to be the world's best dad, isn't he? And like saying, oh, let me see your beautiful face. I ain't half missed you. Is he just wanting to connect with his grandchild?
It sounds like he wants to be part of Frankie's life.
Yeah.
Because he's saying, she tries to bring up that he was a terrible father. And she's like, it's not my fault. My mate's got handsy. I was there when I could be.
Yeah, I can't remember when about all these revelations came up and when we saw Reese last, and did we know that about him before? Because she has bowed down to him and gone along with his plans sometimes, hasn't she? Even when he's been in prison, because he was using her to get to Max, and she was kind of complicit in that. But this was a visit where she's like, no, I'm in a post-revelation world that you pimp me out to your mates. I've literally just come along to...
I've come here to tell you you're not having anything to do with me or Frankie.
Did he have that tattoo before? I don't recognise it.
It would be a bit of a weird coincidence if the actor had a tattoo that says Lauren on his neck.
I know that Scott Anson is very proud about being on Coronation Street, and he does like to put tweets out about it when he's going to be on. But
maybe it's
that
a prison
would be
tat.
the extreme. You were convinced that it was spelled wrong, didn't
I
you?
thought it said Lauren, Lahren.
It's just the font,
It's
I suppose
font.
most of the time that Reese has been in it, he's had longer hair. So if the tattoo was there, you wouldn't
prison.
see it.
What, are you, a hippie? So, I've come here to tell you to your face, you're not having anything to do with Frankie. He's going to be raised properly like I never had. And he says, well, I might not even be your dad. We never bothered getting a DNA test. It's probably that Shakin' Stevens look-alike at the Weatherfield Waltzers. So who's that then? Who looks like Shakin' Stevens?
I literally...
You know it's going to end up being somebody on Coronation Street. There's no way.
It seemed like a weird thing to drop in there. Like,
I'm not your real dad.
Why can't he just be her real dad? I'm not interested in who's Lauren's real dad is. And
I don't care.
I certainly don't want it to be somebody who's already on the street. But you're right. People are already speculating about, could it be Steve? Could it be... Have you seen anyone?
No.
I'm not interested. I'm really.
We don't know
not.
who Lauren's mum is, so imagine if it was just Tracy.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, Lauren
Makes
finds
about as
herself
much
her
sense.
own surrogate dad by the end of the episode, doesn't she?
She's sneezing all over the place by the time she gets back to the hospital, so she doesn't go in because she doesn't want to give it to Frankie, and so she goes back to the cafe to give it to Roy. And
vulnerable old man.
Yeah.
Like, do you mind if I cough and sneeze?
Do you mind if I just give you... I know you serve food, so it's probably not a good idea, but I don't care. So Roy's like, maybe you did the right thing. Why did you go to visit him? And she says, I wanted to close the book on him. It turns out I'm not even maybe his daughter. I don't want to do a DNA test. I just want to pretend that Roy is my dad, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, he says, can I be your dad? Sorry,
No.
can I be your daughter? And he's left a bit dumbfounded.
It's like, I don't
by
care,
this.
honestly. Everyone's my bloody surrogate daughter at this point. It's lost its impact now.
He's had a fair share, hasn't he? But sorry, like I said on the short, Lauren is no Becky Granger. Like, in order,
he's had so many surrogate kids now.
Yeah, he's.
Sorry, you're no Wayne. You're no Fizz.
No, he's turned these kind of wayward children into beloved characters.
Even Kelly.
Yeah, I just can't see it happening with Lauren.
Too many now. It's just become a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean as much. Even Carla, is kind of a surrogate daughter. It stops meaning something when everybody.
Yeah, it becomes
has
a bit,
special
here we go
relationship
again.
with him.
I suppose I'm going to be falling in love with this character before long.
Not
like,
really.
No.
So Friday.
Sorry, Lauren.
Is this where it turns into
This
Betsy's
is the Lauren
story
and Betsy
and
adventures.
Lisa and Carla turns up. Tracy has a fight with Betsy in the cafe because of the whole getting shot thing.
Still hasn't been able to move around, actually, a month later.
Yeah, she still can't feel anything. And so Swain has to kind of break them up. And then Lauren sees Dee Dee in the shop and tells her about the cold. And Dee Dee's like, oh yeah. Oh, who cares about this?
Just say it like it is, Gemma. Say it like it. What's the main action on Wednesdays?
Betsy's in a mood. And so she huffs about. She sees that the florist van outside of Tracy's shop is open and Lauren happens to be hanging about. So she jumps in the back and starts ruining all the flowers for a wedding. And then Lauren comes along and goes, what the hell are you doing? You can't do this. So they both crawl to the front of the van and then Tracy comes out, they panic and Lauren drives off. And so Tracy reports it to the police and lies about the fact that it was open. She says the keys weren't in there. And it was all locked up. Obviously, it wasn't.
Yeah, but I don't think anything's going to come of that because I don't think
it doesn't matter.
If Betsy says no, the keys, or Lauren says the keys were there, then. But anyway, like you said, she's allowed to park it with the boot open outside her own shop if she's loading and unloading.
I think that it will come up that she lied, and then maybe that will be how Betsy gets out of it.
She probably would. That's the thing. On Coronation Street, the good, in inverted commas, characters do these awful things, and then there's always a get-out clause, isn't there? And again,
it's whoever is the main character will usually get away with whatever, and all the other characters become the side characters, so you have to just put up with it.
Yeah.
If this was Tracy's story, it would be a big deal, but because we don't care about her now, because it's about Betsy, we're supposed to just find it funny that she had her work ruined and somebody's weddings wrecked. And
yeah.
Anyway, they crash in the precinct because of course they do.
Where else would they crash?
PC.
I didn't know what was happening in this story today, but when they drove off, I said, "Oh, I wonder whether they go. I wonder if they'll go to the precinct." Yep, it's the precinct. The only other place that isn't the police station or the hospital outside of the confines of Coronation Street.
So. Jess goes to investigate. Betsy tells Lauren to get lost so that she's going to take the blame because Lauren spins her a sob story about not being able to keep custody of Frankie if she gets in trouble. Maybe don't steal a car then.
Yeah.
So Lisa in the factory is talking to Carla about Betsy and then she gets a phone call from work that she has to go in because Betsy's been in a car crash. So Betsy's trying to... They all get into the interview room. Betsy's trying to comment her way through it. And eventually she just comes out and says it was all Tracy's fault. She had it coming. And Jess tries to get her to admit that Lauren was there and she won't. But when Lisa and Betsy get back to Carla's flat, Lisa just gets completely mad. She's like, I can't believe this.
I did quite enjoy this.
Who are you protecting? Who is this person that you were with? And Betsy saying, no, I was alone. I was teaching Tracy a lesson. Somebody had to. Lisa says, you can't do that. That's not how it works.
I'm glad that she got a good shouting at from
Lisa. They both
Lisa.
shouted, actually.
Lisa was great in this
She
scene.
did, yeah. And then they have a hug because Betsy says she's sorry.
They make up.
And she's scared that she can't, her arm doesn't work.
Yeah, they're really committing to this arm not working thing. Well, this is the thing that doesn't make sense, that Lisa's trying to point out. Like, you're telling me you stole a van on your own when your arm is in a sling. It doesn't make sense. Tracy doesn't drive an automatic. You need two arms for it. But Betsy's like, well, whatever, there's no...
girls can do anything, Mum. It's 2025.
It depends. I wonder whether maybe, is Jess going to recognise Lauren again somewhere?
Can I just say, I don't really care. Right, Tracy comes down the flat, unimpressed that Betsy's been let go, and she accuses Lisa of sort of being corrupt. And Lisa gets really mad, and then Tracy calls Betsy a brat, And Lisa kicks her out and so you haven't heard the last of this, rah, rah. Betsy finds Lauren in the kebab shop and Betsy's like, I don't care, I'm not going to get in trouble. And Lauren says, thanks. And then she gets a text message from a mysterious number that says, I know you stole the van.
So who's that supposed to be? I know we said we need to speed this up, but
who could it be?
It's
going to be some tedious,
Lauren's
complicated.
Number. I mean, is it Lisa?
It's not going to be anything interesting.
No, I know, but is it? I'm the fact that there was this mysterious test is intrigued
Lisa's
me
not going to
somewhat.
start harassing children through anonymous text messages. And if she does, I'm kind of sick. I'm kind of be done with her as a cop because she can't keep this whole I'm a law-abiding cop and I would never do anything wrong and keep bending so many rules that she does.
Yeah, I know, but I just feel that there's not many other people that know Lauren's number, literally. Like, is it Max? Has somebody texted him and he's let her know? She's not got tedious connections on the street. But it's...
Her real dad?
Or Bobby? No.
But who's Bobby?
What?
I just have always wanted to say that.
So I wonder whether it is Lisa because...
That's a weird
it was described.
I do like it though.
It was described as you were there with another blonde girl, and has Lisa seen Betsy hanging around with Lauren?
Why would Lisa text her and not just confront her? Lisa's not a sneaky text guy, is she?
Maybe she knows.
She's a go shout in your face person.
Yeah. You're right, it doesn't completely make sense. Or is it Carla? And I mean, Lisa wouldn't have Lauren's number, but I wouldn't put it past her to do a bit of phone hacking in her daughter's phone to find it. Could be. We'll find out, won't we, next week?
Maybe it's Frankie.
Right, so in the prison on Monday, moving swiftly on to the Dylan story, we last week had Sean being beaten up by Mick in the Ginnel, which he still managed to get away with this week. And Sean's trying to avoid Mick. This was a funny start to Monday's episode, wasn't it? Because I had Sean moving across the street, and then he goes across to where the corner shop is. Mick comes out, and Sean does a switch directions.
But it doesn't work.
But it didn't work. Mick chases him down, and Sean says, "Look, I've changed my statement like you wanted. You're in the clear." And Mick says, "Well, you're still on my list, mate. There's going to be hell to pay.
You're going to get a Christmas present
if you mouth off about my lads today." So, and then Theo comes over and tells Mick to do one because he's a stand-up gent, as you know. So he does do one, and Theo says, "Look, is Mick the one that beat you up, Sean?" And Sean's like, "Yes, he is. But I don't need your protection, actually. I'm fine." And he kind of puts his head down and shuffles off. And I don't think we see a whole lot more of Sean. There's a little bit more of him that episode, but not of a ton. Mick...
Well, you said this is the Dylan storyline, but this is also the Mick and Gemma and...
Yes, yeah, exactly. I've just kind of tied them all together here. Mick's trying to get a drink in the Rovers later, but Jenny's like, "I'm not serving
You're bad.
You not what you're doing to Gemma."
Well, you've beaten up one of my barmaids.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that Sean would have...
He is a barmaid.
Well, maybe you wouldn't mind. Mick sees Gemma and says, "Well, thanks for getting Sean to change his statement."
Ryan's a barmaid as well.
do you? It's
2025 Michael.
Do they identify as a barmaid?
I don't know, to ask them.
Mick says to Gemma, "Do you want to go dinner together tonight? You want to come over?" She doesn't really have much of a choice there. So she's as the week goes on, Gemma is just finding herself entrapped by the friendship of the McCartnys.
Say no because she's too scared of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is how we got together.
So the Dylan stuff, the STC storyline, he finds himself being ignored by the Brody bunch a little bit, and basically ends up punching Dylan in the face, doesn't he? Lands him one because Brody makes another crack about Sean being gay, and Dylan, for him, that's the last straw, and he just ends up punching him, kicking him on the floor. He's given a proper full-on Corey Brent here, and then two of the bunch pull him off, and Brody, interestingly, doesn't tell the guards
snitches.
Who it is, and it seems to work in Dylan's favour, doesn't it? Because at the end of the episode, Dylan's there in his room, and some of the bunch are outside talking about, "Oh, did you see what Dylan did to Brody?" And you noticed it, didn't you? That Dylan maybe gives the slightest smile.
Whisper of a smirk.
Yeah, and
Good
it
for him.
feels like it could be that this story is put on hold
Yeah,
now.
put on hold. It's
Come
not
back
finished.
2 months later, and Sean is now, the landlord, if you like, Dylan
Yeah.
is the landlord of the STC. that could be quite
I said
interesting.
that though. I said I wanted a character to go in and just start kicking ass.
Because when Max went to that place, he ended up getting his head shaved off.
They all
didn't
just get beaten up. It's just boring.
I've been moaning about this story up until now and saying, oh, here we go again, same old thing. But if this is a bit of a transformation to Dylan, but then I don't want... Maybe it would be for short-term pleasure because I don't want Dylan to be
It would be really
a
funny
nasty
if
piece of
Dylan
work.
turned into like a Terry Duckworth for the new millennia.
It doesn't fit his personality, his character whatsoever.
Well,
But I did feel... I don't condone his violence, but I did share his sense of triumph.
I condone violence. If you want me to
Against
condone
bullies.
it, no, any violence. Come and ask me and I'll condone it for you. I've got a stamp.
There was that weird scene as well in the episode where Gemma is rescuing a Lego man from Bernie's bra. Were they running low on time?
I liked these scenes with Bernie and Gemma.
No, they were nice. It was just an unusual.
Anyway, it can't really be the end of Dylan's story in the prison because we've still got the menace of Mick and
yeah,
Boo.
no, that's true.
So nothing much really happens with this lot apart from Sean telling Gemma that he's mad that they're all friends with with them lot.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, but basically, Gemma is trapped by the friendship of the McCarlis, and that's all we need to know about that, basically. Chesney's back by Wednesday.
Thank God.
And
he's brought back runner beans.
Did he?
And
I missed that.
And sweaty sausages.
And he finds out what's been going on as well. Gemma explains everything to him, and Lou's backing Mick up and saying that Sean deserved to get beaten up last week. Ooh, what a nasty piece of work he is, and he cornered me in the back of the Rovers and everything. But they're really... They got their hands tied because at the end of the episode on Wednesday, Mick and Lou let themselves back round the back again with a box of lager and like, hey, make us dinner, or didn't they? They say. And oh yeah, and we also had that scene where Mick goes up to Chesney and's like, your bird's great and everything, but she's got a bit of a gob on her. Basically, he's like, you need to put a leash on her because we wouldn't want her to overstep the boundaries, would we? And Chesney, fair play to him, says, well, I think, yeah, she is a good cracking bird, actually. So he's standing up to him a little bit more than Gemma is, somewhat.
Get Kit in there.
I think Kit does need to be involved in here now, considering that his sister Gemma is
being
intimidated this way. Yeah. Okay, so Gemma, what's she been up to on Monday?
Have you not got you put the baby stuff in the Debbie?
I put the baby stuff in the Debbie storyline, but they run one from the other, so it's fine.
So, Dee sees Ali in the cafe and says that Wes and Zoe want to meet her and she's going to go and have a shower at them.
Oh yeah, the siblings.
Yeah, Wes and Zoe. They come around the house with a plant, which is funny because Wes was the plant and now he's bringing one.
It was like a plant in a basket, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so... Wes kind of explains himself and says, I was looking after my sister. I didn't want to deceive you. I really do want to say sorry. And Zoe says, look, I realise that I shouldn't... I didn't treat everyone differently, but I should have done. Yeah. I should have realised that the type of care I provided should be different for each person. And Dee says,
any nurses that are watching this show, hope you're learning a lesson here.
And Dee says, yeah... I mean, of course you should treat everyone differently because somebody's got a broken leg and someone else is having a baby. They need different things.
I don't think there's many broken legs that Zoe has to deal with on a day-to-day
I don't know. Dee says, okay, and Wes says, we do care at the hospital about our patients. And Dee says, no matter what, I'm still having these flashbacks about the pain of the birth and I need to do something about it. So...
Does she really... Is that going to take the pain away, though? Complaining? Is that...
No, she speaks to Alia later and says, listen, we've all come up with an idea now. Me, Wes and Zoe.
Yeah, you're right.
We're going to work together and get more training for the Weatherfield Trust. She uses the word pressuring them, which I thought was a really bad word to use because it kind of insinuates that the hospital needs to be told not to be racist. And I don't think that's true at all. I think that there are very many people that are desperate to not be racist or homophobic and they would listen to you and take on board the training or suggestions that you would give them. I think that is a very fair thing to say. The question is how useful or beneficial or actually, you know, what's the word? Efficient these training programs are. That's the question. It's not a question of whether people need to be pressured. I thought that word really bothered me.
I didn't pick it up, but
she used the word pressured. You don't need to pressure people to do this stuff because nobody wants to be racist. Like, there are very few people that...
do you tell Reese Bolton that?
Very, very few people get into maternity care to be racist.
Yes.
It's just, you need the training. So she says, we're going to teach them how to training to work on care for black mothers to get more person-centred approach to their care. And she's pretty relieved that things seem to be getting back to normal and she feels like she's achieving something with this stated aim. But then Alia decides to ruin it all, bring her back down to earth by saying, you got a baby.
Dee Dee wants to go back to work now, doesn't she?
She's had a lot of time off. I'm really sorry, but this is another case of Coronation Street acting as though people need months and months off work to fart about and feel sorry for themselves when most people in real life would be back at work the next week.
Well, she has had an emergency hysterectomy, but as we know on Coronation Street, major surgery means nothing.
She'd be entitled to maternity leave, and also she does need to recover from her operation. But this is the same thing happened with Gemma. They're like, oh, is she okay? Can she go back to work? Yes, she goes back to work.
If she needs it.
This is real life. Like, try to be a bit realistic about it. These are people that, like, not Dee Dee so much, but someone like Gemma does not have the luxury. Yes, I think we should all have the luxury of taking as much time off as we need for our mental health. But this is supposed to be a show about real people. Is
this feeling like this is the end of this? This is all we're going to see?
That's the end of it.
This is all we need to see?
Weatherfield nurses are going to be the least racist in the whole country.
Yeah, mate, I wouldn't mind if this is the end of it. I'm glad they came up with an amicable solution.
Happen like this, where she's not solving a national problem.
Yeah.
Is she? That could never happen. Same with James. And
just making things better at Weatherfield. All we need now is for another character to get pregnant to test out whether it's actually been any good training. Yeah.
Anyway, Alia points out that she's distracting herself and thinking about Layla, which again is it's just another pointing down the road of
in
Dee's going to adopt her.
In the Debbie story, Dee Dee is kind of getting close to Layla, isn't she? Because it all gets kind of mixed up. It's basically the same story on Friday, but with a bit of added Webster spice into it.
Carl and Abby are flirting.
Yes, I know. They are. It's weird. Like, at the beginning of the episode, Carl is a little bit flirty and creepy and slimy towards Abby, and she doesn't really appreciate it. But by the end of it, seems like she's more up for it, didn't you think?
Yeah, because we all know that a woman who says no is just looking for an excuse to say yes. And if you just carry on being a creepy pervert to her, then eventually she'll get worn down.
That's what this storyline seems to be showing.
The moral of this story is so messed up.
I'm really, really disappointed for Abby at the moment.
I'm disappointed in Coronation Street because this is such an obvious mistake. The same way, like I said last time, that the story with Ardy and
other woman, Courtney
was so obviously a bad idea. Not a sexy, lovely summer story of romance, but a coercive control story about an inappropriate relationship.
I just hate how weak this makes Abby seem when she knows that he's a bit of a sleazebag.
It's not about that to me. It's about giving the impression again to men that a woman is just waiting to say yes. She's just looking for a reason to say yes, and you can get as many no's as you want, but you only need one yes.
Yeah. Well, but Abby's job on Friday is to fix the van, wasn't it, or something that belongs to Chariot Square Hotel, which is why she happens to be there. But also Carl happens to be there as well because he's helping out on the phone lines with his posh telephone voice. And while Debbie...
That was funny.
What's Debbie doing?
Debbie's looking after Layla.
Yeah, that's it. Debbie's taking Layla for a walk around Weatherfield.
Well, but because she's fussing, and so Abby says, oh yeah, when Alfie was sad, I took him for a walk. So she takes him to the cafe.
Yeah, that's it.
And then she's worried about him.
That's when it turns out that he's got a bit of a temperature.
Takes the temperature, and then Dee Dee comes over and goes, oh my goodness, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah. So they go off to the hospital. This is when Dee Dee decides to go along with her, and it's kind of showing that she still can't quite let her go. I'm wondering whether the moment that Dee Dee decides, you know what, I think I'm going to keep Layla for myself, because we know it's coming, that very second James walks through the door and is like,
oh, that's going to
hello,
happen.
I'm back from America.
Oh,
Danny's
Danny's
dead. At least I've got my new daughter to here to console me in my moment of grief. And Dee Dee's
Danny's
like,
the dying
I kind of
words
want her myself now.
was that, please take Layla and become a happy father without me.
Yeah, please be a happy single father. No, Dee Dee's going to have her, it looks like. So, yeah, Debbie's also a little bit sixes and sevens, isn't she, in today's episode? Because she's got... Is it the results of the MRI scan that are coming on Monday?
I don't know if is that or having the MRI.
Yeah, I don't know, but she's clearly gets very freaked out because she thinks that she has given Layla the wrong formula. I think
she gave her a toddler formula instead of a newborn formula.
No. But she thinks
thinks it's why she's in hospital.
Yeah, but is getting the wrong formula a symptom of? I'm not a dementia expert. We don't need to worry about it. But I thought it was being more about being forgetful.
Well, it's another case of like
something wrong.
Picking up the wrong thing because you didn't even know there was a difference.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not necessarily a symptom of dementia, but as soon as Ronnie gave Layla to Debbie, I was like, what's she going to do? She's going to kill her.
Yeah.
She's going to forget she's there.
Well, it could have been like leaving her out of the park, like Alfie got left.
I feel really bad for Debbie. She's definitely in denial, but I don't think if I was having a dementia diagnosis, I don't think I would take care of a baby. Well, which is just a great excuse to not have to take care of a baby.
At the moment, Carl's the only one that knows that Debbie's going through this, isn't he? So he's a bit of a confidant, and he does use this, what a surprise, in today's episode to try and get a little bit of money out of her, because he tells her that his business over in Germany is going south. And she can't...
What, to Italy?
They don't really go anywhere with it, but he's planted this seed in her mind that maybe he might be able to have some of her money at some point. But she's just panicking about the fact that she might kill someone. The end of the episode, the very last line, felt like a weak end to the week, didn't it? Where she's just saying, "I'll be a liability." And that was the line that we were left with to finish off Friday's episode.
That didn't feel like it. There were so many other stories that had high stakes.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they'd have had, I think probably the Jenny storyline would be better to have finished this one off, or maybe another Betsy and Lisa scene. I don't know. Or even the mysterious text message would have been a better ending than this.
Yeah, because we do love Debbie and we don't want her to be sad, but it's like, you will be a lot. It's not a cliffhanger. You will be.
Yeah, exactly. So that is the end. We've made since our little technical recording problems announcement earlier. We haven't had any, so touch wood, we're going to be okay. Not that there's a whole lot left to get into the podcast, but we do at this stage need to give our characters of the week and our score. Gemma, how are you feeling?
Oh God!
Come on. Be positive. I'm kind of going to stand by...
I gave one a low banging, didn't I? Was it Wednesday? I like some of this. I'm just confused about who's my character of the week, because...
I'm definitely...
Is it Julie?
It could be Julie, but I'm really erring towards Christina at the moment.
Yeah.
I really am. And then Danielle as well. She's in for the shout.
She's going to be in trouble next week. She's going to make us all look terrible.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I think I had Christina as my character of the week. I can't help it, and that's really naughty. But I can't remember the name of the actress. That's terrible. But she's just brilliant. I love watching her, and she's the one that's made me go the most this week, and that counts for a lot. So yeah, she's my favourite of the week. I'm gonna score. It wasn't so bad. It just wasn't like the most amazing week of Coronation Street ever. I think I'm going to give it...
Amy Robbins.
She's
only been in 34 episodes.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
She's fantastic.
She really, really is fabulous. I'm going to give this one 3.5 drive-by slaggings out of 5.
I'm sticking with Julie, and I'm going to give this week 3...
Yeah, three and a half.
A half, and
Okay.
usually tall men.
Okay.
And one of them's just a normal sized man.
Well, one of them's cut off at the waist, maybe, because
Okay.
he's tall enough with just his legs. Well, there we go. There is our street tour for this week. What did you think, listeners?